tell me about it, or you can. I mean, I'm sure we should talk about it on
It's
here.
just like Tim Pool has
Thank you
just
for the
given
heart.
up. Like Tim Pool was like kind of legitimate, and he's gone into like this grifter space now where he's like giving life advice, and his whole story today is that Elon Musk went after somebody at Disney because of course, they were too woke because girls were fighting. And he's like, let me tell you a story. I was with friends at Christmas, and they have a girl and a boy, and they were like, this more than two genders thing is bullshit. Because our daughter plays with dolls and our boy smashes things. That was his whole point. That was the whole thing. Like, I was like, oh, okay, well, now he's probably going to bring in some data or something.
Feel sorry
No,
for those kids.
that was it. That was the whole thing. It's just like, oh, there's only two genders because my boy smashes things and my little girl it just plays with dolls. By the way, my daughter plays with dolls. She loves dolls. You know what else? She loves smashing things. Go in the garage and just like smash things. She loves it. Did you say same here?
Yeah.
You said.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. Like the thing is it makes me sick. All of those people, like Jack Poso is another one who does that. Like he will bring out his like little son who's like 4 years old, and get him to repeat weird stuff like, oh, how many genders are there? He doesn't know what he's talking about. It's a little kid. It just it like upsets me so much when I see that stuff.
One of the coolest things about having a kid is when they say something instead of like, I think I'm now I'm lucky that I'm not in a cult anymore, because it used to be if my kids said so, like kids in my family, like cousins and stuff, when their kids say something, they're constantly correcting them, like, oh, thank you. They're constantly correcting them and just saying like, no, that's not what we believe. But like when you don't have a belief system and your kid says something, you can be like, where how'd you come up with that? And they'll explain to you where they came up with ideas. It's way better. And some of their ideas are pretty good. Sometimes my daughter's ideas are decent. By the way, how's the sound today, everybody? I got a new attachment, so hopefully it's not a snap, crackling, and popping. So let me know if it is.
Yeah, and I'm going to try to be on mute more. Yeah, like I think the thing about being a teacher is that you realize, and it's terrifying, is anything a kid is saying came from their parent. You know what I mean? Like if it's hateful, like all these ideas that kids are just too young to really have. And it's just sad because, like you hear certain kids say things and you just know, well, that's what's the message is at home. Like,
well, yeah, I had that conversation with my daughter the other day. She said, only moms and dads can have babies. And I was like, what do you mean by that? She's like, only moms and dads can have babies. And I was like, no, two moms could have babies. And she just looked at me and she goes, really? And I said, yeah, really, two moms can have babies. Like there's a way. Obviously we're not going to explain it. She's 4. I'm not going to explain IVF to a 4-year-old, but then she's like, well, what if my friends say that, what did she say? I'm trying to remember exactly how she worded it. What if my friends say that only moms and dads can have babies? And
I'm sure their parents are letting them know. It's like,
just tell them they're wrong. That's what I've told them. She goes to a Christian school. I fully expect my daughter to be kicked out of that school at some point, and it will be the happiest day of my life.
I was still like I hadn't like completely like sort of renounced Jesus. I taught at it's called classical education. It's like Christian education. It's like where they take Latin. It's all this like different stuff, but yeah. And I feel sorry for kids in Christian school because the things they're taught, it's just sad.
I don't know why. Like I mean, she's in preschool, so they don't teach a lot, but they're pretty good. Like we went to their Christmas program, and I was like, God damn it, I'm gonna have to listen to them sing. Like there was,
it's better.
They sang like 7 songs. One of them like kind of was about Jesus. And my daughter thinks Jesus is boring anyways. I asked her, I was like, what do you think of Jesus? She's like, boring.
Learn that at a pretty young age.
Good enough for me. Yeah.
You don't have to be that old to figure out that Jesus is boring.
Yeah, and it's hard to not be, it's actually hard to not be the parent that's like, just so you know, Jesus is bullshit. All your friends that believe in Jesus, like, they're idiots.
You wouldn't do that about Santa Claus,
Yeah.
So just let her have a couple more years.
But I want to, but yeah, I do have to hold back on that all the time. I just always tell her, like, it's okay if you don't believe what the other kids believe. We'll see how that goes.
No, I know. I think that, yeah, there's definitely like, I think, because my best friend has two boys and she took it a little too far with like the Santa stuff. Like, we're still pretending that Santa's dropping off a trampoline that I built. It's like, this is ridiculous.
How old are the
They're
boys?
like, well, they're like 10 and 8. It's like, it's time now. Like,
That's kind of
we have
funny.
to tell them.
But my daughter knows, inherently knows Santa's not real. It makes me mad. Be like, Santa can't. I think we told her, like, Santa brings the presents, and she's on Christmas morning. She goes, yeah, but Santa isn't real, right? And I think she figured it out because one time we were watching Elf, and she said, that's not the same Santa. And I was like, what do you mean that's not the same Santa? She's like, it's not the same Santa from the other one that fell off the roof. She was talking about the Tim Allen one. It's the Santa Claus. She's like, that's not the same Santa. She just knows, which sucks, but she goes along with it. Facts.
Yeah.
Fax, while you're here, is now a good time? If you want to come up, jump in the request. Fax is hosting an event tonight. So Fax, whenever you want to do that, just hop in.
I'm excited to hear about it. I just learned that it's not Thursday. So if anyone else is also having trouble with that, it is not
I'm
Thursday.
having audio issues again, guys. I'll
Chargers.
Get out of here. What do you plug them into? Oh, I have one of those. It wouldn't work. I actually have one of those. It didn't work. I have this.
Some
little
of them
thing.
work. You have to get the right ones. They have to be certified by Apple. But when you find one, yeah, like they're good.
I have this. It's just a magnet, and it clips to the back of my phone and charges it.
That's good too. Well, so yeah.
Yeah.
But anytime it's loose, that's when I think the microphones are messed up. It's the connector, in my experience.
Yeah, you talked me out of buying a microphone at like 10:30 last night.
Yeah, if this works.
I got dressed. I was gonna go.
Margarine's boyfriend's network, Right Side Broadcasting Network.
Beautiful.
The whole time that he was talking, like, you know, the ads they're running, it was so funny. I just made a TikTok about it and I called it like far right big pharma like ads because the whole time there's just ads for ivermectin. Like, is this for real? Is this what it's come to the entire time? All the coverage, not ads for annoying big pharma stuff like we all see, just ivermectin because that cures everything.
I had it on in the background, but Jake had sent me some
sarcasm.
screenshots. Where are they? Maybe he didn't text them to me. Maybe it's on Discord. Let me look. Jake had sent me some screenshots of some crazy ads that he was watching. Let me see. Where are they? Oh, yeah, his name's Whisper. Remember when Jake's name was Whisper? This was a great one. My favorite one it's called Truly Office. It's Microsoft. It's like Microsoft Office. It's like a bootleg version of Microsoft Office, but it's a woke free version. Did you know that Microsoft Office was woke?
Yes, I did. Bill Gates is one of the main people that they are boycotting. So I did actually know that. And
So
yeah,
it
there's
says-
a whole shadow economy of just that's why I said, like, Vivek, there's like a business just like, and if you just say anti woke and then just start a regular business, you know, and then that's their key. They only want to give money to like their little shadow economy.
Maybe that's how we
like
fund
Patriot
this
Mobile.
project.
All sorts. What's the other one? Patriot Square or whatever. It's like Yelp for far right businesses.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many.
Fax, welcome back.
hello.
How's the audio?
I have a weird issue with my main account joining other people's lives, so I have to go to my backup because I can't hear audio. It's the strangest thing. I don't know what the hell it is.
Oh, weird.
Anyway, how are you guys?
That's
Good,
what
man. How are
happened to
you?
yours, Jay. Remember when you couldn't hear audio, like right after your first account got banned, and then we tried to start a second account
Oh,
and you
that's
couldn't
right.
hear
And
us? That has happened to you recently.
yeah,
Did it
I
just
don't know
go
what that's about.
away?
Did you figure out?
Yeah, I waited the weekend and then I tried again. That's what happened. So I don't know.
It's
I don't know
so
anything, facts.
amazing. Thank you for this
So,
opportunity. I appreciate you both. First of all,
of course.
for what you do and for this moment here. So tonight at 6 o'clock, very fortunate to have a couple of experts in immigration and border security. A gentleman by the name of Rollo, who is a naturalized citizen and an immigration lawyer, and Bobby G, who is a Marine and an ex, because once a Marine, always Marine, I've learned. He's also an ex
Right.
Border Patrol agent. So they look at the border, they're both outstanding men, very objectively. When they look at the border, they look at it through a humanitarian filter, but they look at it from different perspectives. You know, one Rolo actually having gone through the process and then representing people who are, and then Bobby, who's a Border Patrol agent or ex-Border Patrol agent. So unique perspectives. And as you both know, and as a lot of us know, there's so much misinformation connected to the border. So I was lucky enough to have them join a live a couple weeks ago. We decided to make it a more formalized kind of thing. So tonight's live will be dedicated to U.S. immigration and border policy, trying to dispel as much misinformation as possible. 6 o'clock Eastern time.
Eastern time. Okay. So you have Rolo. I haven't met Rolo yet. I know one day Rolo was in the guest request, and I've never, in all my time on TikTok, I've never had anybody suggest a guest more than Rolo. And we even talked about it, and then I saw that your event was coming up, so I'm like, well, one, you'll be very prepared for that because you always are. So I'm looking forward to that. Some people have asked, will there be a replay available later?
That's a really good question. Sure.
If you want, DM me offline. Our YouTube set up. We could get through Jen, you could get us the file that TikTok provides you, and we can post that later if you'd like, or you can post it. But we'd be happy to host that on our YouTube as well,
That's
so people
great.
could watch a replay if you want, or figure out your own. Yeah.
Oh, I appreciate that. And I want to encourage people, you know, the idea would be myself and Anthony and Political Mom will be sort of co-hosting together. We want to bring people up from the chat if they have questions. And I want to encourage any of your awesome followers if they have questions as well. You know, we want to, 3 hours is the goal. I don't know how long we'll go, but I want to try to address as many, as much misinformation as possible.
I have a question. What is Rolo? Like, I'm not sure who we're talking about. So what is his actual TikTok handle so I can look up
Rollo.
if I wanted to find his account?
Rollo.
Okay.
Yep. And again,
Just like at Rolo.
yep.
But it doesn't come. Okay.
He's got he's got a funky hat on in his profile picture. But yeah, I can tag you, police, if you want.
Yeah, because like when I search it, it doesn't come up.
Okay, I'll tag you.
Like, how do you spell Rolo?
Rollo.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a delicious treat too. I love Rolos.
Sure is.
One of my favorites.
Me too. Frozen in particular. So anyway, so thanks for this opportunity, guys. And I want to encourage everybody to come 6 o'clock Eastern time tonight. It'll be on my main account. I go live every night at 6. And if anybody has any questions that they would like, I mean, I've got a list of things that we'll go over. We'll touch on some of the high level stats around the border. By the way, I live in a border state as well. You've referred to Vermont as not a real place, RTP. I can confirm that it is actually real.
Yeah, sure it is.
But that's a border state as well. And the Canadian border, by the way, with the U.S. is 5,525 miles long. It's the largest international border in the world that nobody talks about.
Well, I talk about it all the time because I'm tired of them goddamn Canadian geese coming over the border and nobody's doing anything to stop them. So I actually regularly talk about how much we need to do on that northern border. The southern border, that's a problem, but the northern border, that's a catastrophe.
Yeah, they shit on my golf course. It drives me nuts.
See? That's what I've been saying.
Anyway, thank you both very, very much for this little plug, and I appreciate it. And hopefully you'll join tonight. And again, thanks everybody. Hopefully we'll see you there later. Thanks,
We'll
guys.
be there. I'll have mods. If you could throw just a link to Facts TikTok in the Discord, that'd be awesome. And then we'll remind you. But everybody should show up. I definitely will be there. I'll have my daughter, so I'll be listening. I don't know if I'll be able to join, but I'll be listening. I'm looking forward to it.
All good. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
All
Have a
right.
good-
Thanks, Max. We'll see
Be
you.
well.
Bye.
Yeah, and if someone could send me a link to the to his TikTok page. For some reason, I can't find it. I would love to.
Yeah, I don't know if he's been around for a while. I had never heard his name, and then suddenly everybody I know was like, hey, you got to talk to Rolo, and it was that day. I don't remember who had told me, and I was scrolling, and I saw Fax TikTok. I was like, cool, Fax is going to do this, which is great. That means I don't have to prepare. Can we talk, what's your shirt say? I love this shirt.
Oh, never mind. He just sent me a message.
Oh, there it is. Rolo _ crimigation _ lawyer.
Yeah, that's not his handle. Like, just to be clear, that is not. Rolo's not his handle, so that's why I was asking. Because you can't search people's usernames.
What do you expect from somebody who lives in a state that isn't real?
It is Rolo _ crimigation _ lawyer. Yeah.
All right, it says link is in the Discord now, so thank you guys. Thank you very much. So
it's 6 Eastern, so 4 our time. Is that right? Yeah. I'm just making sure.
I don't know why I can't subtract. Like when I
You can't tell time at all.
It's weird. Yeah, it's weird with time zones. I have to like in my head picture that like Eastern, Central, Mountain, Pacific. I have to do that. I don't know why. It's a glitch. There was one other ad I wanted to what was this one? I'll drop it in the Discord too. But there was an ad. It was called like a son of a bitch. There it is. Contagion emergency kit. What do you think that is? What do you think is contained in a contagion emergency kit?
It's just for the next pandemic. Like, that's the thing that's really messed up about the MAGA shadow economy is it's just leveraging these people for more money after paying all Trump's legal bills and like being defrauded for the wall that's not getting built. Then they're like, oh, let's defraud them for like pandemic emergency kits. Like, it's so messed up. If there's one thing that enrages me for the people in that movement in the far right, it's how they play them. It's constant steady diet of fear. You have no rhythm, but that was you're like
listen, there was no I can't
thought you were having a seizure.
I can't find the rhythm without the beat. Give me a break. It's early.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what's in the contagion kit. Expert recommended treatments for respiratory illnesses that actually work. Our contagion kit
actually work.
Yeah. Our contagion kit ensures quick, low-cost access to proven treatments like ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, generic Z-Pak, and budesonide.
Oh my God.
With a nebulizer.
Budesonide, yeah, that's another one.
With a
that's
nebulizer.
Just nasal spray to like clear your nostrils.
You can also get back that pre-COVID feeling.
Budesonide is liquid Symbicort. Sorry, it's like.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, it's like if you take it in a spray, it's like an inhaler for your lungs, and then if you take it, budesonide is like a nasal spray. It does nothing. My mom used to buy that for me during the pandemic.
Let me just give you some things that are happening on this website. You also get the revolutionary spike support formula for that pre-COVID feeling. It contains ingredients researched for their ability to combat spike protein in vitro. Keep your body at peak condition after an infection.
Oh my God.
Now here's a giant ass quote from Peter McCullough, who, if you guys know who Peter McCullough is, he's basically like been thrown out of the medical community for lying about COVID. But this is a website where they're selling, just to remind you, this is a website that they're selling shit. And they're advertising on Right Side Broadcasting Network, which means they're paying to advertise. So they're spending money and they're making money. And the quote is, "We refuse to profit from your sickness. Join the fight for medical freedom by supporting TWC, a company focused on your wellness with incredible doctors, treatments, and products."
We refuse to profit off your sickness by profiting off your sickness.
Yeah, I don't know.
Makes sense.
Oh, become an affiliate. Ooh, wait, hold on. We may have ourselves a little. Ooh, that is quite a form to fill out.
I can't even understand the supplement industry. Like, that's one thing I agree with Mark Cuban about, is like his disdain for the supplement industry and how people are robbed blind with these claims and promises that studies don't back up. Like, there's lower thresholds for FDA approval. Like, it's just, and this is just an even more egregious extension of that.
Yeah, but the cool thing about this is, that anybody who came to this website looking for help with their health, they're never going to check this with a doctor because they're not going to check scientific studies. They're not going to look at peer-reviewed research. They're just like, oh, it's anti-woke medicine? Terrific. I'm not going to turn gay when I have my omega-3 fish oils.
Yeah, I can't. But again, like, I know, like, it's like step one to being grifted, you gotta want to be, a little part of you has to want, like when you were catfish, what did I tell you? You have to want to be catfished
I don't like
a little
when you
bit.
bring that up.
Sorry, but like, I
bring it up.
Remember what I told you that? Yeah. Like, you have to want to believe something a little bit. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And I feel like so I do get it, because people are like, don't feel sorry for these people. They like being defrauded. You know what I mean? So I do understand that argument, but I could still not, like, I don't like that capitalism. There's all these different verticals where you just could rob people. Like, make claims that aren't true. It requires no like studies to back them up. And I don't like this industry. I don't like it.
It's expensive. I'll tell you what. It's not cheap. Fish oil, like a month's supply of fish oil, is $30.
Is that
you
what
get fish
is
oil?
On there?
You can get fish oil at CVS for like $15. Or you could buy non-woke. These are all, by the way, they've checked all the fish that they got the oil from are straight. They're all straight. There are no gay fish where they're getting this fish oil from. So you can be rest assured that neither you nor your children will be turned gay by woke fish oil. Yeah. These are all from red. These are red. That's
probably what happened to me.
Fish.
Now that we're talking about it.
That's right. You probably went to California and ate the fish.
Yeah. That explains a lot. So yeah, it's just watch the advertising during Trump. If you watch those far right, it's sometimes I just have to turn it to C-SPAN, where it's sane and ad free. I can't always stand to be on Right Side Broadcasting Network or it's the same thing on Rumble. Like, I pay for, Junior's podcast. Like, the ads on there are it's just, I cannot stand how they grift their own people. It's like, these people are paying millions of dollars for your dad's legal fees. It's just every day. It's just, let's tack on one more grift. It's like, when have they given you enough money? At what point have these people paid you enough money?
Yeah. Never. The answer is never. Just quick answer there for you.
Yeah, it's wrong.
Look, it got...
Someone said Felice is gay. Ask her with a question mark.
Kinda. I don't know. Sometimes.
I've dated a woman. I definitely have dated men.
Yeah.
I would say I'm a sapiosexual. Like, I'm attracted to people's minds, most importantly. Like, the last thing I think about when I'm attracted to someone is like their genitals, pretty much. Like, that's the last thing that I'm worried about. It's pretty much everything else that attracts me to a person. And that's just kind of like,
Yeah, when you think about it, it is strange.
Yeah, it's very strange that that's all people care.
I've got another video coming because Joe Rogan's a fucking idiot again. Joe Rogan got caught overreacting to a staged video again. And
God.
I feel like I feel like
gets
Jamie,
it wrong.
Yeah, it was this guy like with a wig and a full beard standing outside of a woman's bathroom, and like a mom was like, "You can't go in there." He's like, "No, I'm a woman." It was clearly staged, and Joe Rogan spent like 5 minutes talking about how it was so real. And I think he even said, like, this is real. That's the thing. People have been saying this isn't real. Look at this. This is real. And then Jamie's like, well, it turns out that
Joe Rogan's so out of touch with reality now. You know what I mean? He doesn't know. And they just desperately want something like that to be real, because that's what everyone does. Like, I can't even talk about the bathroom stuff. It's just they're so desperate for one of those videos that are so obviously staged to be real.
Yeah, but he's lost it, and I was thinking about this earlier, like, because we say that what triggered it is you talking about genitals, and we were always like, Republicans are obsessed with genitals, and like if you came down, like, if you brought in an alien from space, right, and you were like, hey, figure out who the two genders are. What are the two genders? And by the way, you have to just see them fully clothed. Like, how would you know? You wouldn't know right? Like, literally the only way that you can make it just be two genders is genitals. That's the only way. That's the only thing you can really boil it down to. And even then, like, there's some instances where it's going to be tricky. It's not going to be easy for you to tell. But Joe Rogan just on a rampage. All of them.
Well, and with all the gender affirming care now going on, right? Like, gender affirming care is not just for the trans community. Like, all people do nowadays is gender affirming care. Men take testosterone. Like, everybody is modifying their appearance to, affirm their gender that they identify with. So yeah, the only way you can tell anymore is genitals.
I'm just baffled at this point that there are still people who tune in every day for Joe Rogan. I watched because Bobby Lee, who I don't really think is a great comedian, but like I've followed his career. He's like never been on Rogan, and then he finally decided.
Bobby Lee.
Yeah, he's a comedian. He used to be on Mad TV. He has a podcast with.
I feel like
Andrew
I saw him live.
You might have. He's not a very good comedian, to be honest.
I think I saw him at like improv, like in downtown Phoenix one night. That's why I'm looking.
Yeah, lucky you. Anyways, he just kept like Bobby
yes,
Lee.
I did. I know who this is. Yeah, he was crazy.
Yeah, Bobby Lee just like kept talking about normal shit, and then Joe Rogan Joe Rogan has become that person that you can't talk to. Like the person that at parties everybody's going to avoid. He can't help but like go into deep state conspiracies all the time. And Bobby Lee at one point is like, "Is this what you think about? Like when you lay down at night, is this what you think about?" And Rogan goes, "Yeah, man, night's the worst. I can't even sleep. I just think about this, and I think about like the woke agenda." And it's like, goddamn, Joe, like you're a multi-millionaire in your 50s. Just go enjoy life, man. He has the coolest life ever. He does stand-up comedy and comments or does commentary at UFC and hosts a podcast where he used to talk about aliens. Like, it was such a simple life. But this is what we talk about when we say like MAGA ruins fucking everything. They've ruined everything. They've ruined Joe Rogan, who like was at least good for a laugh.
Was he? Did he used to be your idol?
He wasn't my idol, but
you are still hanging on to Joe.
No. I never liked Joe. Like, Joe was always way too bro-y for me, but I liked his guests. He brought on it was the only podcast where you could turn on and you'd be like, I don't know what I'm getting today. And so it was kind of a surprise every time. And it was in long form. So he would bring, I remember hearing a guy tell this like hour-long story about he was cave diving, and the guy he was cave diving with freaked out and kicked up all this silt, and like he couldn't see. Yeah,
and spelunking.
And the guy's like counting down spelunking. Okay, the guy's like counting down his timer. He's like, I have 45 minutes left of oxygen, and he's trying to find his way out of these caves. Nope. And he like, I just remember I was driving home from California, just like on the edge of my seat. So yeah, he used to do some good stuff. I liked the alien stuff. I thought it was funny, and he never took himself so. He was never like, this is 100% true. And then he got into political shit, and now he has taken the same route that all these MAGAs take, where they grab a conspiracy theory and they're not honest. They're not like, it's kind of a fun theory. They're like, this is 100% true, and that's who he's become. Yeah. So it's just, he's not fun anymore. He used to be crazy.
Oh, I know what you're saying. Joe Rogan used to be, yeah, exactly. It's not fun anymore. But when anything, like, just in life, in my experience, because this is my main focus, is just like having balance in life. Like, when you take anything too far, it becomes unfun, and everyone, you know what I mean? It's no longer a good idea. Like, Joe Rogan has taken this too far. It's the same thing that happened to Aaron Rodgers, It's just anything.
Did you hear Daniel Tosh on Aaron Rodgers? Did I lose you? That is an unfortunate place for your screen to freeze right there. Is your internet going out? Thank you. Yeah, I do. Look, I'm going to pull this up. I'm just going to play a quick clip from Daniel Tosh while Felice is here. Daniel Tosh has a new show. It's called Tosh Show. It's phenomenal. I think it's the best show on the internet. Daniel Tosh, when he made this show, he decided he's like, I'm not going to interview celebrities. I'm going to interview regular people. Like his first interview was his wife.
I love this show.
Yeah, his first interview was his wife's gynecologist. He has brought on, I think, his therapist. He brought on his stylist. But this was an incredible rant on Aaron Rodgers. Daniel Tosh is becoming, I always thought he was funny, but I thought like his humor wouldn't age, and some of it didn't, but he has aged beautifully. He's doing great work. And here's him on Aaron Rodgers. Let's turn that up.
I used to like Aaron Rodgers, the Green Bay Packers version. Then he became a Jet, one pass this year, and it was dropped. I mean, I hate the Jets. Is that what this is about? Maybe. I just hate the Jets. I've always hated the Jets the most in the AFC East. Oh, and he has an extremely creepy mustache. By the way, you made one pass in 2023, and it was incomplete, and made over $37 million. What do you think of the quarterback for the Jets? Zach Wilson? No, fucking, not fucking Zach Wilson. The other one that reads, you know? I don't even know why Aaron Rodgers is still employed by the Jets in the first place. The guy...
That wasn't actually the clip I wanted, damn it. Basically what he said, he makes fun of... He's talking about going after Jimmy Kimmel, and he says something, he says something along the lines of like, if you were going to guess if one of these two people was on Epstein's flight, would you pick the guy that you've seen for 30 years, the family man, or would you pick the guy that like keeps getting engaged to celebrities, but then at the end he just magically gets out of that relationship? His family won't have anything to do with him. He's famous for going and sitting in the woods for like 2 weeks. Oh yeah, in darkness.
I forgot about his family disowning him on The Bachelor. Forgot about that episode. That was great.
Well, and he what was that other part? Oh yeah, so he was criticizing Fauci. He's like, Fauci's the biggest perpetrator of misinformation on COVID. And then he's like, I have friends who owned a restaurant, and they lost their restaurant because of Fauci. And Tosh is like, hey, Aaron Rodgers, you made $36 million. What if you just kicked your friend $100,000? Do you think that would make him happy? But instead, you just want to use your friends as ammunition so that you can go on this like anti-vax rant. Anyways, Tosh Show, highly recommend. It's only on YouTube.
He's amazing, yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So, I've always loved him. He's hilarious. Where has he been? He went away for a while, but he's back.
Well, he was still doing Tosh.0. And he even did it through COVID, and then Comedy Central, they wanted to.
Yeah, I think I just fell off of that.
He didn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, it was kind of time. I think it's time to reinvent yourself, because he is a timeless comedian. He is so intelligent. His IQ must be so high. He's like a Jon Stewart.
Very
so
smart.
like every once in a while, he should just reinvent and like be on a new platform and do something else.
Well, the thing that he's done really well too is he refuses to do interviews. He won't. So he can say whatever he wants. He's never going to be pressed by anybody in the press. He won't go. He doesn't go to award shows. He doesn't go on talk shows. He won't do interviews. He's just like, I'm just going to do my thing, and then I'm out. So I'm a big proponent of Daniel Tosh. I'll find that clip. We'll show it tomorrow. But the entire part about Aaron Rodgers is unbelievable.
Okay, so we can just touch on Scary Lake. Scary Fake. Carrie Lake, if you haven't heard, the only thing she's ever said that I ever believed, I don't know if you guys remember, but right after some of us believe she lost the governor's race. Carrie still disputes that fact. But after that happened, and she was going through her, like, let's fundraise so I could do a fake lawsuit and make, and grift MAGA out of more money, like, stint. And she started going around telling this story, saying, like, I was approached by someone, like, who offered me bribe money to, like, get out of politics.
Which I think when you brought that up, I think I didn't believe it. You believed that the
believed
whole
it.
time. This was your conspiracy theory, and it turns out
When
that old Scary and Felice were right.
Well, only because like I read a lot of Capitol Hill blogs. Like things like that are very common. Like just getting people, offering people to whatever to stay out of an election is not something I haven't heard of before. And like an Arizona Senate seat is extremely valuable. And we have a senator like Sinema, her role, what Sinema does in the Senate, like she might, I mean, she might be a Democrat. Well, now she's an independent, but she's on cultural issues, pretty left, but then she props up billionaires and corporations. Like she's all about the filibuster and she uses that,
Her donation, I went through her donations
yeah.
last night. It's insane. I mean, she has raked in cash. For a junior senator, she has raked in cash.
She had nothing, and you want to see how you could be rich, propping up billionaires and corporations. That's what Sinema does, like friend of all the lobbyists. So they're looking at, we have Sinema who's doing all this work for us, and in a swing state, Arizona is a state that decides elections. That's another huge position of power to have someone there. Carrie Lake is anti-establishment. She will not cooperate with corporations, with lobbyists, with billionaires. She thinks there's she's a World Economic Forum conspiracy theorist. Meanwhile, Kirsten Sinema's like one of the keynote speakers in Davos. You know what I mean? So like this is a problem for them. I thought and still think, I don't know, is like that they wanted, it might even be to protect Sinema. Like if Sinema could just run a clean race against Gallegos, or Gallego, there was a chance that she could win. But with Kerry in it, it spoiled everything. So I believed that personally.
Yeah, that was the part that I didn't really think of, is that it was because it was a 3-person race, and because Carrie Lake's base is immovable. It's a real problem, and the interesting part. This was the part I couldn't figure out, and maybe I figured it out. I just want to cast this theory. When I thought of the billionaire, I was like, okay, well, it's not Trump because he's not paying anybody a goddamn thing. And who's the guy that's on? Do we want to play the video? Let's play the video first, actually.
Well, it's 5 minutes. I don't think we should play. It's 5 minutes. Do you want to play 5? I don't know what you want to play. I didn't record. Honestly, I didn't record it individually because it's so long. So you play it.
Did you send it to me? Where did I?
It's the second link in the outline.
Okay. Let me see. I think you had also texted me, but let's go. Yeah, we can play it.
But yeah, so this audio has surfaced that Carrie Lake always said existed. Like I think first with the Daily Mail, but yeah, it exists.
Well, let's just do it. Okay, so the guy in question is let's just go to the Daily Mail article instead of playing the video. How about that? And I can give the details there. I was trying to remember the guy's name. Load. Jeff DeWitt. Jeff DeWitt is the chair of the Republican Party. He used to be the CEO
in Arizona.
Yeah, in Arizona. Excuse me. Yeah, thank you. He used to be the either CEO or CFO, I can't remember, of NASA. He quit that job to work for Donald Trump. So he's been working on the Trump campaign. So this is somebody that's embedded with the Trump team and obviously embedded in the Republican Party. But basically, he just casually brings up that there's a number that people are willing to pay to get her out of the race. And she keeps saying, like, I can't get out of the race. It's not worth it to me. There's people who count on me. Again, true believer, Carrie Lake. 100% true believer. I don't think that she's a grifter.
Yep.
I think she's a 100% all-in true believer. The way that she speaks to Jeff DeWitt during this conversation, I think at one point she's like, they're going to unalive me. Like, if I don't step out, somebody's going to unalive me. She really does believe that. And who knows? But I was looking at Jeff DeWitt, and I was looking at his finances and what he did. He's the chief operating officer on Trump's 2020 campaign, and he still works with them. So obviously he's well connected. Then I was thinking about how Trump, you brought this up the other day, how Trump has kind of backburnered Carrie Lake. I think that Trump at least knows that Carrie Lake is a problem. I think he knows that she's a problem for Arizona, for his chances to win Arizona, and for his donors. His donors are probably telling him Carrie Lake is a problem. And I think that's why Trump has backburnered her. But she she refused these advances. She basically said, like, I'm not going to take the money. I'm not going to bow out. And I think that's maybe, knowing that this video was coming out, I think that's possibly why we're starting to see a little more Carrie Lake. She was there in New Hampshire last night. Her name is being brought up a little bit more by MAGA people. I think that it's possible that this was leaked specifically so that Carrie Lake can be seen in a better light. And frankly, it does. It shows her in a better light. I still think she's crazy, but I think it shows that she believes what she believes. I think she's authentically who she is, which I don't know if that's more scary or not, but authentically, she is this crazy.
Yeah, no, I've always said that she's a true believer. Like that was the weirdest experience during the last midterms, is watching her staff realize, like, oh, this is not a joke. Like, this lady is dead serious about everything she's saying. Yeah, that is the thing about Carrie. Like her or not, she believes that she's on some sort of righteous crusade.
Yeah. By the way, I think it was that Prague said, like, or no, Mr. Johnny Stearns, I think it's an act. She was an Obama supporter. Yeah, she was. But like, people change. Like, I was a I mean, I guess I'm still a Mitt Romney supporter.
Yeah,
but
she used to be a Democrat.
I was a Republican.
That's true.
I worked. People change. It happens. She was red pilled, right?
Especially during, it was because of COVID. She was an anchor in Phoenix. Like, I grew up as a child watching her. Like, she had a distinct change. She started changing, like, you could tell she was changing, but then COVID, like, that, she went, like, whatever happened to her during COVID, like, that's what it was.
Yeah, COVID broke so many people, and again, I think it may have to do with people's faith. I think you see a huge crossover between people with faith and people who are anti-vax. And again, I just think it boils down to, like, they're predisposed to believe that God is in control. And why would God do this, right? Why would God have this big virus to take down? And then you add in, like, all the deep state conspiracies and the fact that nobody wanted COVID to exist. Nobody wanted to be locked down. Nobody wanted to be vaccinated. Nobody wanted their kids not to go to school. Nobody wanted to lose their job. Like, there were so many things that COVID had, obviously, that, like, everybody wished that the conspiracy part was true. It's an easier thing to believe. It allows you to believe that, like, Jesus is still in control, and that, like, this awful thing that's happening, that's going to keep happening if we don't make some changes, is all a hoax. Same as, it's very similar to what they've done with climate change. Like, just ignore it, pretend it's a hoax, ignore the data, ignore the science, continue down that path that it's a hoax, and just assume that any counter evidence is just these people trying to control you, these mind control people. That was another thing Joe Rogan said the other day about mind control, which was TikTok. I swear to God,
stop hanging out with Joe Rogan.
It was the same clip, but I swear to God, he said this. He's like, I really do believe that this is just mind control, and they're using TikTok to convince people that there are more than two genders, and you have to stand up against that. You have to be aware that your mind is being controlled by TikTok. My God, dude, you are my crazy uncle now. What the fuck happened to you? Like, you're just on the internet boards making shit up.
I agree.
All right,
he's lost his mind.
There's somebody in the comments named Dale who I think wants to talk to you about your uterus, but he's a little bit.
Dale is one of my longest, like, probably the longest troll I've ever had. Like, when I first, like, my first live I ever did with Chelsea and Nemo, Dale was there. Dale's been there since the very beginning. Dale used to be a DeSantis fan. I'm not sure, like, what his belief systems are. I can't see. I might need to leave the live. Do you mind if I leave and come back in really quick? Because I can't see the comments or anything. Ever since I froze,
really?
Yeah, I can't see anything. So,
well, look, I'm gonna miss you, but do what you got to do.
I'm gonna go out and come back in because it's annoying not being able to see what Dale's saying.
Yeah. Well, he's talking about harvesting organs currently.
Oh, that sounds like Dale.
Dale's on brand. It's kind of nice being in this full screen. I like it. I really like it. And now, weirdly, I can't see the comments when it's full screen. That's bizarre. TikTok's after us. That's what I'm telling you. It's the woke agenda of the tiki-talkies. Shit, I hope I don't get in trouble for saying that stuff about Joe Rogan and his takes on TikTok. By the way, TikTok, if you're listening, I do not think you are controlling my mind. I just want to be clear on that. I love you, TikTok. I want to be friends forever. I think that you are really nice. I think that you are really fair. I think that your terms and conditions and policies are very transparent, and that everybody always knows what's going on. That's what I like about TikTok the most, is everybody always knows what's going on. There's never a surprise when you come to TikTok. There's never you don't just like lose an account for no reason. That's the thing that I love the most about TikTok, is their full transparency. It's beautiful. Thank you, TikTok. Thank you, TikTok, for saving the United States of America and the world, really. Felice is taking her sweet ass time. Dell, if you're there, I also see Sawed Off Steve, who jumped in yesterday. Sawed Off Steve, you're welcome to. You sent me some angry messages, which was fun. And I saw you jumped in yesterday. Somebody sent me a screenshot, one of my mods. I didn't see it. It was right when we were logging off, because I have a hard cutoff at 1, and I was 15 minutes over that. So anybody, can nobody jump in the box? What is going on? I don't know. I hope Felice. It says Felice is here. What in the world is going on? All right, gonna disconnect that. There we go. All right, can you guys see it now? Now I can see the comments too. I don't know, when Felice left, something strange happened. No Felice, but we'll see if we can get Felice back up. Maybe she ran away forever. I don't know. Is this maybe this is how she quit? She's like, I'm gone forever. Yeah, Felice isn't here. That's why you can't see Felice, because she's not here. It's just me. I don't know what's going on with Felice. Let me message her. Is Harvey there? Felice just quit in front of our eyes. Fuck this. I can't take it anymore. She might have. Less J, more Felice. I get it. I understand. Maybe there's an update. I don't know. The host has abandoned you. And I would never abandon you. I'm here. I'm here every day. But if you guys want to I didn't update. No. I don't know. I text Felice. Is there a coup? Hey, Dell. Felice and I don't say the same things. Why don't you get out of the comments and come up here and talk, instead of being cowardly down there in the comments like the little man that you are? I'm not hosting Felice's live. I'm just covering for her. I'm a substitute. I didn't know David Coop begins at 10 p.m. I didn't know David was banned. I had no idea. Do you have a cardboard cutout of Felice you could put up or something? Yeah, we'll check with Dale. I think Dale might have the cardboard cutout of Felice. Dale, if you could bring that over, that would be terrific. She went and started her own live. I don't know what happened. This is crazy. She's not messaging me back. I don't know if she's updating her phone. Oh no, we saw David on a live last night. That's not good. He's struggling. He's not doing well, guys. He's not doing well. I don't know. No, Dell, you didn't trigger me. You're a coward. You just hang out in the comments like most cowards do. Dell, I don't think you're like clever enough to trigger me. You've got to be way better at triggering if you're going to trigger me. Like, just sitting down there and saying dumb shit is not really that triggering. But I would like it. See, there he is. He's going to double down on the triggering. I'm triggering. That's something that Republicans do. Like the Republicans that aren't clever, the Republicans that can't talk shit, the Republicans that like are really bad at trolling. What they do is they just say something dumb that they really do mean, and then people are like, "Hey, you're dumb," and then they're like, "You're triggered," and then we're doubling, tripling, quadrupling down on that. Like, you guys all use the same joke. It's really not even funny at this point. Like. It wasn't that funny in the first place. The problem is, Dale, you're not smart enough to trigger somebody. That's the tough part. Like, and also, like, what's wrong with being triggered, I guess? Do you want to come up, Dale, or you want to sit there and be a keyboard warrior? Here, I'll send you an invite, Dale, so you can talk about it. Where is Dale? Oh, did Dale go running? Let's find Dale here. It is weird. It's weird. You guys have been using the same line for like 10. Oh, Dell has not enough followers. Oh, maybe he does. There's the invitation, Dell. Just giving you an opportunity to come up here and use your voice instead of your words. Guys, I don't know what's up with Felice. I really don't. I text her. I have not heard back. I have no idea what's going on. Dale's mom won't let him come up. Oh, Dale, you've gotten invites from me and from... Oh. Damn, Dale. We do this thing here, Dale. This is how we deal with weak men, like weak, cowardly men, is when they show up and they troll in the comments and they're not funny anymore and we've sent them multiple invites to talk to us face to face. What happens is you wind up getting muted. And so I don't know if you want to come up and trigger this poor soy boy beta cuck. You're welcome to come up. But unfortunately for you, Jen is ruthless, and Jen will just like mute you and mess with you. And that's too bad for you. Lib Wranglers here. Good. Lib Wrangler always shows up. Wherever there's a Dale, there's a Lib Wrangler. Dale stalks Ethan's live as well. He never goes up in the box. Oh, he's like a full-time coward. Oh, Dale. Weak is people who can't put their voice behind what they have to say. Weak is just sitting in the comments crying. Can you guys imagine being like a grown-up? Just a grown-up. Like however old you think a grown-up is. However old you think Dale is. Now, Dale's name makes me believe Dale's somewhere over 50. So can you guys imagine being over 50, lonely, sitting in the comments talking about women's uteruses. I'm not sure what the plural of uterus is, but I'm going to go with uteri. And just trolling about abortion and not having the courage to talk to somebody. Like, that's crazy, Dale. You're 50 years old. You can't talk? You can't come up and have a conversation? Unfortunately, some can. Imagine. Oh, thank you. Thank you, RTP's rug. Dale, I'm talking every day, you goddamn idiot. Like, I'm on the mic every day. What kind of comeback is that? I literally, like, I'm here talking on a microphone and saying that you won't talk on a microphone. You just stay in the comments and your response is, well, that's what you do every day. I don't know what's up with Felice. I'm going to move on to this. I'm tired of Dale. So I'm going to move on to a story. And Jen, if you'll help me, if I don't notice Felice jumping back in the request. She must have restarted her phone, I imagine. I hope she's alive, but we're going to move on. Let's get through the New Hampshire stuff. So obviously Trump wins in New Hampshire yesterday. According to exit polls, 67% of New Hampshire Republican primary voters said they would oppose a federal law banning most or all abortions nationwide. I think what we learned yesterday from New Hampshire, and we talked about this yesterday morning, is that New Hampshire was going to give us a glimpse into what moderates and independents are going to think in this election. And that's huge. Like, that's really, really important for this election. So moderates and independents, when you look at the exit polling here, they care about abortion. They don't think that you should have laws banning abortion. Everybody seemed to care about the border, but independents and moderates fell for Nikki Haley. And I think that what you saw from Trump last night as he was getting ready for his speech, he was rage truthing, like just losing his mind, rage truthing. He was threatening people. He was talking about Carrie Lake being like a scammer because she came, like, when they called the race, or not Carrie Lake, sorry, Nikki Haley. When they called the race, she came out and she conceded, and that upset Trump too. He was mad that she conceded. He was mad that she mentioned that she got nearly half the vote. This is a man who is clearly losing his mind. Then he brought up Tim Scott, and I hopefully Felice comes back to talk about this, but he brought up Tim Scott to try and get Tim Scott to talk shit about Nikki Haley, and Tim Scott just was like, nah, I'm not going to do it. Here's a clip from Donald Trump threatening he just started threatening to extort people at one point. Let's play this clip here. Get the volume. God, these MAGA websites are terrible.
And just a little note to Nikki. She's not going to win. She's not going to win. But if she did, she would be under investigation by those people in 15 minutes. And I could tell you 5 reasons why already. Not big reasons. A little stuff that she doesn't want to talk about. But she will be under investigation within minutes. And so would Ron have been. But he decided to get out. He decided to get out. Now, Vivek...
So now Donald Trump is claiming that he has dirt on Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis and that they would be investigated by Democrats. I don't know. Like, that's what you call projection. That's just world-class projection. Let me see. Felice says something real quick. Internet's down. There's an outage. Cox says, I have no idea. Say it could be minutes or hours until it's fixed. All right. Help me out in the chat. Felice won't be here for a while. Could be minutes. Could be hours. But she cannot. She can't get on the internet. So Donald Trump then is now going into this bit where he's like, hey, by the way, if you win the presidency, you're going to be investigated. And here are some crimes that I know you committed. Feels like a self-report to me. Feels a little bit like a self-report to me. Well, if it's all unfair, because that's his narrative, right? The narrative is it's unfair. Everybody's picking on me. If it's all unfair, then why is he saying that the next Republican in line is going to have the same thing happen to him? And he's saying, oh, it's true. I could think of 5 things off the top of my head, 5 reasons off the top of my head for why this is true. I just saw Vivek was on Flagrant. Oh, terrific. Were they nice to Vivek on Flagrant? I would hope not. The Flagrant has done a decent job pushing back against right-wingers. They do an okay job. I'd imagine they gave a little bit. I can co-host. Do I fill out a W-2? You just have to pledge your life to me. Felice says I'll try on my Wi-Fi. TikTok's not refreshing. I'm going to try and join now. All right, she's going to try and come up again. She'll just be short on her laptop. So, unfortunately, that leaves the organization to me. Flagrant is Andrew, what's Andrew's last name? Santino? No, not Andrew Santino. Schultz. Andrew Schultz's podcast. Okay, good. They were clowning. Andrew Schultz. He's a comedian. He hosts a podcast. There's another comedian there. I forget his name. It's a relatively funny podcast from time to time. I've never watched a whole episode, but I've seen clips and I've seen some funny things. I don't know a great deal about them, but I will be watching the Vivek one. Let's move down to here. All right, here's the part where he's mad at Nikki Haley for conceding when it was time to concede. And it just Donald Trump thinks that if anybody's ever on a stage and they're not just praising him, it's like a real problem.
And today, I have to tell you, it was very interesting because I said, wow, what a great victory. But then somebody ran up to the stage all dressed up nicely when it was at 7. But now I just walked up and it's at 14. But she ran up when it was 7. And, we have to do what's good for our party. And she was up and I said, wow, she's doing like a speech like she won. She didn't win, she lost. And,
Yeah, she said she lost. I don't know why MAGA folks, there's people cheering. There's Tim Scott behind him. They're cheering. He's got Vivek out there just ready to shovel shit whenever it's time to shovel shit. And he's got Eric, the son that he forgot about, on his side. And I don't know why people cheer for Donald Trump when things that he's saying are just so clearly untrue. She got up, she said, we did well, we lost. She congratulated Donald Trump on winning. And then she said, I'm going to go on to South Carolina and she's going to spend a bunch of money. Felice, I know Felice looked at the ad buys for South Carolina. How much was it? $4 million in ad buys?
Yeah, 4 million.
Welcome back. Everybody was really. This was a chaos in the comments.
I'm back. Yeah, sorry. Blame Cox Communications. It's not my fault.
Typical liberal woman, always blaming cops.
Blame capitalism.
Time. Yeah. I thought that clip of Trump when he went after Nikki Haley, I don't remember if it was to you or to somebody else that I text when Nikki Haley went up. I think I actually think it was to Jake. I told him, I said, I think she's coming up now because I think that the lead's going to grow a little bit. And I think that, and Trump noticed that. And it was, to me, it was a little bit of a self-report on Trump, because if we remember in 2020, when did Trump come out and claim that he won? When he was up. When he knew he was going to be up. We've now seen documentation, text messages, emails, sworn testimony that Donald Trump knew on election night he would be up, and then the mail-in ballots would come in later and he would lose. Like, if he wasn't up by enough, he would lose. He knew he was going to lose on that night. That's why he came out and he claimed victory. So it's funny when you hear Trump, like, you think oh, he's politically savvy. He noticed that she came up when the numbers seemed the best. Well, that's because that's how his mind works. I don't know if she did that or not. Who knows? But that's how his mind works. And that's how I got that idea that that's what she was doing, because I watched Trump do it.
So I'm not sure exactly. Like, I just came. Can you just? What are you saying?
I was just playing the clip of Donald Trump when he's like, then somebody came up on the stage dressed nicely when it was at 7, but now I walked up and it's at 14. She's doing a speech like she won. She didn't win. She lost. It was that clip number.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I mean, I know the clip. Yeah. So he's just, the thing about Trump is this, like, the reality of Trump is that he is an incumbent, right? Like, and he wants to be an incumbent. When he was in Iowa, he said, oh, they want to say that we're only, 33% of the 30% of the Republican Party. Well, we're 95%. MAGA's 95%. And then we saw that, oh, that's not the case in Iowa, right? And then we moved to New Hampshire and again saw that that's not the case. Like, I don't know why he lets his camp, well, he can't control his mouth, but he lets his camp be putting out there, we're going to win by 30 points. And then every day at the same time, or on primary day, starts walking it back when he realizes, oh, like, I way overshot the mark. Like, for Trump's own expectations, right? Trump's camp is setting these expectations that he's going to blow her out of the water, and he underperforms because he sets crazy expectations. Well, but he should be worried that he is basically an incumbent and gets 54.5% of the vote.
Yeah, the thing is like, again, the people that follow him, they don't care. They'll spend all that week like parroting what he says, and then he won't win by a huge margin. He'll win by a small margin, and then they'll be like, yeah, well, he still won. They don't care. Nobody cares what he has to say. Like, they literally just repeat whatever he says. And by the way, if this was starting, I really wanted this to be closer, and I wanted to see Nikki Haley win, because one of the things that, and there's a reason Donald Trump is also touting his win as big as it is. Whatever the margin was when they were done counting the votes out of the machines, like, the margin will decrease. Like, Trump's margin will not be as large because there were also mail-in ballots. You could do mail-in ballots on New Hampshire, and obviously those aren't going to swing Trump's way. So I wanted to see it close because I thought we were going to have another example of Donald Trump blaming mail-in ballots. I was really looking forward to that.
Yeah. It's, the thing is like Joe Biden, one of the lies going into last night was like that Joe Biden, Margarine was out of her mind last night. I think she was feeling kind of good. I saw there was an open bar there at some of those events. I don't know what Margarine was doing, but she was talking crazy talk, just yelling lies, which is normal for her, I guess. So I don't want to say that, like, I don't think she would have said any of this stuff, but she started yelling that Joe Biden was like, is senile. First of all, said that he has dementia, and that's why he forgot to write himself into the primary as a candidate because he has dementia, and then said that he was losing to Dean Phillips, which at the exact moment she said that live, he absolutely was not. He was blowing him out of the water. And think about it. Think how much Trump,
and he wasn't on the ballot.
Exactly. He was just a write-in. Yeah. So that's my point. So none of it's true. Like, the basic thing, if anyone's curious about that, like, he did not submit name for the New Hampshire ballot after the state refused to comply with a new Democratic nominating calendar that made South Carolina the first primary contest. So that's why he's not on the ballot, and New Hampshire isn't a technical like stop. But Dean Phillips has been campaigning there and was campaigning there a lot. And they wrote Joe Biden in. Joe Biden had 59,000 votes or something. Hold on, let me just get it right. Like as of this morning when I was looking, he got 53.4% of the vote, 59,776 votes. That's more Trump than Trump got in Iowa. I'm just making the point. This is a write-in candidate, right? That just like Trump, like he has had a grueling schedule in New Hampshire. Like this last week, I mean, he's been putting in work, and that's what he got out of it.
Here's an interesting thing about Donald Trump and his claims of election interference, which is always right. He gets nervous. It's kind of cute, actually. One of my best friends, also a 49ers fan, leading up to every game. Like on Monday, he's like, "We got this." On Tuesday, he's like, "I don't know, guys. I'm getting a little nervous." On Wednesday, it's some tweet that he put out about someone not liking somebody on the 49ers. He's like, "Oh no, they haven't." And by Saturday night, he's a complete and total disaster. Just texting, like he'll do Trump truce at us. Like, "I can't believe it. We're gonna lose tomorrow. There's no chance. Like, I hate this team. I can't fucking stand this. I'm not gonna be able to sleep." Like every week just has a total panic leading up to the game. And then during the game is a nightmare. And then at the end, he's good when they won. Like he's the happiest guy on earth. But that's Donald Trump, like leading up yesterday. You were texting me the stuff that he was truthing out during the election. I don't know if you wanted to go over any of that or not, but like the meltdown is funny. And going into Nevada, this is where it's really going to be interesting, because this is the first primary election I've ever seen that is 100% rigged. Have you seen what they did in Nevada? What the GOP's done in Nevada?
What's the guy's name there? Is it Adam Laxalt or? Well, tell me about it, but I do know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So
what do you mean when you say rigged?
So they wanted to make it earlier on the calendar so that it's easier for Trump to win the election, because they know he's going to win Nevada. So they move it up. But instead, this is quoted from Huffington Post, instead may have created a scenario that could delegitimize the result entirely by giving 0 delegates to a candidate who wins the most ballots. Instead of holding either a caucus or a primary, Nevada is holding both, just 2 days apart. The primary on February 6th is being conducted by the state, using all the state voting precincts and ballots mailed to every registered Republican. The caucus on February 8th requires participants to find the site closest to their home, designated by the pro-Trump state party, during 2 specific hours that night to cast a paper ballot that will be counted by hand by the pro-Trump state party.
Oh my God. What's the point of even participating in that?
Yeah, because primaries by their very design almost always have higher participation rates than caucuses, the winner of the primary could easily collect far more ballots than the winner of the caucus, even though the participants of the primary will not win any of the delegates Nevada will send to the summer nominating convention. So essentially, you have a primary that just doesn't count. And then you have a caucus. And the caucus is set up in a way that the party gets to designate the areas. What do you think they're going to do in pro-Trump areas? You think that's going to be easy? You think they're going to make it accessible? Or do you think they're going to make it difficult? They're going to make it difficult. And that's and then all the polls you're seeing out of Nevada. If you go to 538, my favorite place on earth, and you go to Nevada, you look at the polls. There's almost no polling out of Nevada, which is bizarre. And even the pollsters are basically saying it doesn't really matter what we poll, because it's all going to boil down to the caucus. It's bizarre. And by the way, first time ever Nevada's done this. They've never done this before, and they likely won't do it again. But they are making sure when they moved Nevada to the 3rd primary state, it was purposely to help Donald Trump. That's the only reason they did this, is because they're like, oh, this is going to be a win for him, but let's also make sure that it's a win for him.
Yeah, that's crazy. That makes a lot of sense as well. I was looking at the what's the name of this? 4 exit polls, numbers that explain Trump's New Hampshire primary win. It's an NBC News article. So I was just looking, 3 in 4 New Hampshire GOP primary voters who self-identified as Republicans supported Trump. And they comprised half of the electorate. So people who are identifying as Republicans, 3 of 4 of those were supporting Trump. But Haley won 58% of voters who described themselves as independent. But by a 22-point margin compared to Trump's 49-point advantage among Republicans. Let's see.
So that should give you a glimpse. I was talking about that before you came, but I hadn't pulled them up. That should give you a glimpse. Remember that Nikki Haley is far from a moderate. She's far from a centrist, and she's kind of far from Joe Biden. But independents, even recognizing that a pretty right-wing Republican is still left of Donald Trump. Like they're looking for something closer to the middle, and they view Nikki Haley as closer to the middle, despite her stances on abortion, despite her inability to say that like slavery was the cause of the Civil War. Like despite all of that, you still saw moderates in New Hampshire plug their nose and vote for Nikki Haley. I don't think that Donald Trump should leave New Hampshire feeling good about the general election. I think that both Iowa and New Hampshire have been signs to him that the general will not go well, because the indicators, the people who aren't going to vote for him, or the people that he needs to win over for the general, those people aren't siding with him. They're going the other way. And we know in every single swing state that he lost, it was registered Republicans who voted for Joe Biden that cost him the victory. He can talk all he wants about election fraud, in which they have found none. But in every swing state, the people who counted the ballots, the people who ran the elections, have all said he lost for one reason, because Republicans, registered Republicans, voted for Joe Biden.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and the other interesting thing was just like, it's not like people are voting for Nikki Haley, like you said, like the independents, not because she's moderate or an independent, but because she's specifically not Trump. Like that's what I can't remember. Maybe this will come up as we go through this, but let's go into 2. So the second point of the NBC exit polls was that conservatives dominated the electorate. So self-described conservatives dominated the primary electorate, with 67% of voters describing themselves as such. Trump won 71% of them. Haley won 72% of self-described moderates, besting Trump by roughly 3-1, but they were a smaller share of the electorate, only 28%. So, I mean, like this, that's what I'm saying. These people that were part of this electorate, by and large, it was dominated by conservatives, and Trump still is coming up with 54.5% of the vote. That's scary. That's why he was mad. You saw him melting down for a reason, because the math isn't mathing here for the general election.
Yeah, if he loses moderates 3-1, it's a landslide. It's not even close. And what's interesting again about Donald Trump, and this goes to show like just how moronic he is, or maybe just how self-interested he is. He's seeing these numbers, and he doesn't have the wherewithal or the integrity to look at the numbers, figure out what they mean, and change course. Instead, he's shifting right. You got, like, if you are a Trump supporter, if you love Donald Trump and you think he wants to be president, you should be very concerned that every time numbers come out and show that moderates don't like him, and that they're moving more to the left, and that they're moving more towards Joe Biden, and his response to that is to double down and go further to the right. You should be nervous. This man is running an absolutely horrific campaign. For all intents and purposes, he is the incumbent. He and Joe Biden, their numbers in
they're
these
both
primaries,
incumbent. Yeah,
they should be
Look
similar.
what I just sent you. You'll like this one. This is this goes to my point I was making about what this is a CNN exit poll that Caitlin Collins was posting last night. So for Trump voters, people that voted for strongly favor 77%, some reservations 19%, dislike opponents only 3%, right? So people aren't voting for Trump because they don't like Haley, but when you look at Haley's voters, strongly favor 33%. Like people aren't that big on Haley, but what does that mean? So some reservations, 27%, dislike opponents, 39%. So what is this exit poll telling us? That Haley is getting votes, not because people like her, but because they don't want Trump. Meaning, and what that tells us is when this comes to a general election, like these votes that Haley's getting, these are conservatives, aren't going to move to Trump. They're voting for Haley because they dislike him specifically, and they're going to move to Biden. And that's why Trump is scared.
There are two ways to motivate your voting base. Either get them very excited about you or get them to hate the opponent. Now, people that are excited about Trump, those numbers are nowhere near where they were in 2016. They're not even where they were in 2020. But the people who dislike Trump, those numbers are higher than ever. And that number carried Joe Biden in 2020. So if that number has gotten higher and Trump's support has gotten lower, show me the path to a Donald Trump victory. Like, fuck it, end the primaries now, Republicans. End them now. I don't care. End them now. We want Donald Trump. Democrats, liberals, all of us. We want to run against Donald Trump. I am tired of hearing so many fucking stupid people say, no, they're just going after Trump because they're afraid of him. Nobody's afraid of Donald Trump. Literally, like nobody but Republicans. The only people in the world that are afraid of Donald Trump are Republicans, because Republicans largely are just cowards. And it's the first time you guys ever felt like you won something and you're so afraid because you know you're not popular. You know your ideas suck. And so you think that like, well, our ideas can't win, but Trump won, so we'll just lean on Trump while he runs us into the ground. Give us all the Trump. It helps me. It helps me make content, and it helps me feel much more secure about the election in 2020.
We have no chance. I mean, if the polling is right now, which it's way early to even say, but yeah, that's the problem with Haley is she's definitely, we do want to run against Trump. Make no mistake about it. We could sit up here and say Trump's an awful person, but he is 100% the best chance we have of electing a Democrat.
And it's not necessarily like, people will say things like, well, what about the debate stage? Like, will Trump do better than Biden on the debate stage? Yeah, probably, but it doesn't matter because we're talking about extreme feelings here. This is not a nuanced, like, policy-driven election. This is literally, do you like Donald Trump or do you hate Donald Trump? That's what this election is going to boil down to. And most of the country fucking hates this guy. There are people that will come out to vote against him just because they hate him. Hate is a motivator. That's why people like Dale show up every day. That's why people show up here and troll the lives, because hate is a motivator. People will show up and be active if they hate somebody. If they're just like, I'm iffy, they're not going to show up. If they love them, they show up. If they hate them, they show up. And way more people in this country hate Donald Trump than love Donald Trump.
Guys, it's that time to tap the screen. We're not even to 100K yet. Okay, let's tap the screen. Let's share the live too. If you specifically see Republicans in lives, like if you want to follow them and then share their lives, our lives with them, we would love to specifically invite people. If you have any people in mind, we would love to talk to some Republicans about these numbers and see what they think. I think you'll think this is interesting. So one of these exit polls, I found the NBC exit polls were fascinating. This is super interesting. The new GOP, right? Because if that's one thing, like it's not your like father's Republican Party, like Joe Biden always says, and it's not what the GOP is. Largely uneducated now. Like in the Trump years, the GOP has found success among non-college educated voters, and Trump handily won that group Tuesday night. So listen to this. This is super interesting. Voters without college degrees were a majority of the electorate. So now the diehard conservatives that are showing up to primaries, the informed people, that used to not be the case for the Republican electorate. That's crazy. So 50, with voters without college degrees were a majority of the electorate, 52%. So among voters without college degrees, Trump won 67%, while only 31% voted for Haley. Trump's performance among those voters was also up 245 percentage points compared to 2016 when he won 42% of them. The new Republican Party, this is who they are.
That's beautiful. Yeah, that tracks. It tracks
That's
with
great.
every
245%. Trump said it best. He loves the uneducated. I mean, he literally asked for it in 2016. He said, "These are the people I want."
And yet, you know that he's also embarrassed by them, which is a fun thing. Like he's just a performer. That tracks though. That tracks with why Donald Trump doubles down on the rhetoric that he does. It tracks with why he's it tracks with why he can go on stage and say just completely untrue things, and
no one ever.
knows.
That's what we said. There's no fact checking. It's just, I mean, because to be lied to, I mean, and these are asinine lies that would take a 5-second Google, and they never go that. They just are like, I love this. Spoon feed me obvious lies, insult my intelligence at every turn. I love to be duped by people that paint themselves orange. Okay, so here's another really interesting thing from the exit poll. So Trump also won among other groups that make up the GOP base, including 60% of voters with incomes of less than $50,000, 70% of white evangelical or born-again voters, and 53% of voters over 65 years old. So we have the no college education, incomes of less than 50,000, white evangelicals, and over 65. Is anybody surprised that from 2016, the shift, the new Republican Party are white evangelical voters, people over 65, not college educated?
By the way, and those
Is anyone
numbers,
surprised that's who will believe his lies?
you can look at the percentages, and I'm sure for people on the right, like that would be a good spin. They'd be like, look, he's gaining ground in all these areas, but all of those areas that you mentioned, the evangelical voters, the people over 65, those are both two populations that are declining rapidly. So he might get a higher percentage, but the amount of those people that exist in this country is smaller now than it was in 2020, and smaller now than it was in 2016. Like that electorate is getting smaller. And again, we talked about this yesterday. As groups, as cults get smaller, they get more radical. And that's what you're seeing. Like that's why you're seeing this percentage shoot up, because as they get more tight knit, they become more radical. They become more skittish. They become more nervous, and they cling to each other, and they cling to that unifying force that is Donald Trump, and they do it blindly. And that's what you're seeing now. Like this is actually really fucking fascinating to watch. You're in real time. We're seeing the consolidation of a cult, and we're watching people kind of reluctantly fall into the cult. And there's interesting people like Ron DeSantis who fall.
Did you see that? That
No.
was so cool.
I don't know.
It was like like an astronaut on a treadmill, maybe? I don't know.
On a
But it
treadmill?
was super. Yeah, you would have loved it. Sorry. That
I'm
was
gonna
my
watch the
ADHD.
replay.
That was really
Thank you,
cool.
whoever
I never
sent
have
that.
seen that one before. That's cool.
Thank
Was
you.
it an astronaut
But
on a treadmill? I don't even know if I really saw that. That might have been a fever dream.
you might just be high. Anyways, that's what we're seeing. We're seeing this consolidation.
Well, I have more for you.
We're seeing the extremism, and it will be a very strange end. It's going to be a really weird year.
Oh, what was that quote that I sent you last night when I was like, Ron summed this up perfectly? Ron Filipkowski. This is right when this is during Trump's meltdown. Trump's, screaming about Nikki Haley during his victory speech and trying to extort her and revealing that he was going to extort Rod if he didn't drop out. And Ron Filipkowski tweets, there's never been a more divisive person in the history of American politics. He tore apart this country, his own political party. Even families don't speak to each other. We are either going to go down a very dark road with this lunatic or be done with him after this year. There's nothing else to even say about it at this point.
Well, when I read that yesterday, I thought of the message that old sawed-off Steve sent me that was very angry, that I was divisive. And this is what...
Wait, what message? I don't know. Is that you're talking about the guy that was in the comments yesterday?
Yeah, I'll tell you what he said. So basically, he just said, like, sawed-off Steve's part of this... I forget what his group is called. But they claim they want unity, right? But what they want is they want unity behind Trump.
What do you mean his group? Do you mean like...
I forget. They have like a
on
group.
TikTok or...
Yeah, they have. I can't remember what it's called. If somebody knows in the comments what it's called, I think Jen knows.
Sawdust Steve.
I guess Sawdust Steve. I can't remember what their group is called. They host lives in front of like. I jumped in one night.
So it's like just a little
it's a group.
crew, like an internet crew or something.
Yeah, and their criticism all the time is that He-Man woman haters. Yeah, that's what it is. Their criticism of me is that like I'm divisive because I talk about Trump, which is a crazy thing to say. Like, you have the most divisive person, the most divisive politician in this history of the United States, and you're saying that like we're divisive for pointing it out, and that you want us all to unify around the most divisive person. Like it's like going so far out of your way to not realize you're in a fascist cult. That like you're so far lost that you don't realize that what you're hearing is somebody criticizing somebody for consistently dividing us. Now they're mad at me, but they're not mad at him. It's a bizarre thing. Like everybody thinks David says it all the time. Like, why can't we all just come together? Because of that fucking guy. That's why we can't come together. We can't all agree on Donald Trump. We could stomach.
They want us to back down because they're backed into a corner. Do you know what I'm saying? Like Trump, and it's not us. They feel like we have backed them into a corner. Really, your Lord and Savior, Orange Jesus, did this all to you. His actions, taking no accountability for his actions, making you responsible to defend him and his actions. This is a billionaire who won't take responsibility for things he did and is making it your guys' problem. None of that has anything to do with anyone on the left.
And I think they misidentify what happens in the Republican Party when Donald Trump goes after his Republican opponents and he smears them and then they come crawling back. They misidentify that. That is weakness. That is not strength. That's not unity. It is abject. It is an abject failure of their integrity. It is weakness. They are so afraid to lose power that they come back to Donald Trump. It's like, I mean, like at this point, I don't want to keep doing Schmittler stuff. So I just watched the final episode or the final movie of Harry Potter, the final, like the eighth one, right?
Yeah.
And that's like it's the same thing with Voldemort. And I was just thinking about how that movie
obsessed with Harry Potter.
Yeah, but just remember how that ends, and this is how this ends. At one point, Voldemort kills Harry. He thinks, but he doesn't. And then Harry comes back to life. He's like, "Surprise, motherfuckers!" I think that's his exact words. I think he jumps out and he says, "Surprise, motherfuckers!" And then all of the people following Voldemort realize that he's not untouchable, that he's fallible, and they all start leaving. They just poof, 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 and that's what you're seeing. You've seen this since 2020. There are people who stood by Trump's side: Chris Christie, Bill Barr. They're just, I'm out, and slowly but surely, these people are recognizing that Donald Trump is not who they thought he was. He is not untouchable, and they're going to leave before it's too late. And you're going to continue to see this until eventually it's just going to fall apart, and Donald Trump will turn to dust and fly up into the air, and Joe Biden will break the elder wand and throw it down into the canyon.
Okay, you're done. You're done with the Harry Potter analogies for the rest of the day. Here's some more interesting. This is the other interesting part. Like, so the top issues for GOP primary voters were the economy, 37%, immigration, 30%, and Trump bested Haley on both, which is super funny, right? Trump drove the economy into the ground, added more to the debt than anyone else. Like, Biden's economy is unequivocally better. But Haley, I guess I'm not surprised that Trump doesn't wins on the economy though, because, you know, Haley is not really what is her policy? I have not heard any economic policy from her, or even border policy, like talking about the border being broken. But these people are voting with Trump on the border, a man who's literally holding up the border, fixing the border. That's hilarious. The things they're backing him on aren't even things he's done or is doing.
It reminds me of Gringotts Bank in Harry Potter. No, it doesn't. I'm just kidding. No, the reason is it's more simple, I think, than people make it out to be. Like, nobody knows what his policies are. And also nobody knows what Nikki Haley's policies are. And nobody knows what any Republican policy is, because they don't fucking have one. But what Republicans and people, like, I just saw somebody comment about Jamie Dimon in here. This is one thing that I learned after leaving the Republican Party. It is possible to not know something and be rich. It is possible to be wrong and be rich. But Republicans worship richness. They worship wealth. And so what you're seeing with Donald Trump, and you've heard it, like, he's a businessman. Got to run our country like a business. No, we don't. It's fucking stupid. You know what? We should run our country as close to even as possible. And if we have to take losses sometimes, then we should. It's not a for-profit business. It's not meant to be run like a business. You should not. The last person you should hire to run the country is somebody who runs a business. It's not for-profit. We're not making cutthroat decisions. We're not out here trying to slash benefits so that our profit margins are higher. But then you put in somebody who runs a business, they're like, we got to slash benefits so that we spend less on debt. Like, it doesn't work. He
is running it like a business.
Exactly.
And that business, and in that business, we are the slave workers that are having our benefits cut, our wages cut, and we are producing a surplus of profit, which is going to the same people it always goes to, the capitalists.
And then Jamie
this
Dimon
is a business where we're getting
Jamie
robbed.
Dimon shows up and is like, hey, I really like Trump. And they're like, see, that guy gets it. It's like, he's a fucking billionaire. He got a tax cut. The government bailed out his
paying
company.
8% taxes.
Yeah, like, he doesn't exist without our taxpayer money. And you guys are like, well, if he says it, it must be right. No, he's protecting his own interests. And those interests that he's protecting aren't your interests. That's the saddest part about this whole...
government handouts go to billionaires. That's the problem with this country.
And that's the sad part, because we're dealing with people who, again, low income, low education, low information. They're legitimately people who just see
the
wealth.
Numbers don't lie.
And they think that if they follow the person that has wealth, that person is going to give them wealth. It never happens. And that's the saddest part about all of it. Like, there are real policies that we could implement today or tomorrow in 2024, 2025 that would benefit these voters. And none of the things that would benefit them, that would make their lives better, are going to be accomplished by Republicans. That's the saddest part about it, is that they've co-opted poor people into just saying, like, you know what? If you're poor, it's your fucking fault. There's nothing you can do about it. If you're not a billionaire, well, you fucked up. Everybody can be a billionaire. And it's just not true. But it's sad when you see these people shilling for that kind of ideology. Yo, we need to give Jamie Dimon more tax breaks. We bailed out his company. He doesn't pay any taxes, but Jamie Dimon says that everything will fall apart if we don't give him more tax breaks. You don't think he would lie to you? You don't think he would lie to the American people so that he gets something that benefits him? You really don't think that's possible? You think he's just out there speaking the truth?
This is the man who went before Congress and Katie Porter showed that their tellers at Chase Bank can't survive. He sat there and acted confused about a finance professional about it. He's not confused about it at all.
And maybe he is. Maybe he literally is so far removed from like reality of what it takes to live like as the everyday American. Yeah, he's like, what? No,
on a whiteboard. He's not confused about it. He's fine with it. He made no changes. He's not confused about it. They know. They suggest that people get on Snap, right? Like, they want, rather than just paying people a livable wage, a company every year exceeding profits, right? They all have their little golden parachutes, right? But nope, tellers with children can't afford daycare, and he's fine with that.
Time and time again, Republicans and these billionaires that Republicans worship have shown you what will happen in a time of crisis. It's time to start believing them. When you had the housing crisis in 2008, 2009, what did they do? Did they go in and did they pay people's mortgages? Did they bring people current on their mortgages? No. They gave the money to the banks, and the banks gave themselves bonuses, and the banks covered their own asses. But what were the banks covering? They were covering for people who couldn't pay their mortgages. The same, like, this is how backwards it is. We could have fixed all the issues with the banks by giving that money to the people. We could have saved people's credit. We could have saved our housing market. We could have done all that. But if you give the money to the banks said, hey, look, give us that money. We're going to work with these private equity companies. They're going to buy up all these houses. So don't worry, these houses aren't going to go unused. We're going to buy up all these houses, and then people will have houses to rent. Who got rich? The 1%. When you saw what happened with COVID, what happened? PPP loans, massive PPP loans, all everywhere. PPP loans that were totally forgiven. Martin, hold on one second. Massive PPP loans that were forgiven, and then you gave the American people scraps. They never take care of the American people. It's always the billionaire. Go ahead, Martin.
Well, I agree with that, and but we do need to have, I think, at least one economy that's working off of I would say consumerism or capitalism. I think what it does is it kind of balances things out, and as long as it's not too, but like that $1 billion tax credit is ridiculous. Are you a U.S. citizen? United States of America?
Yeah.
I'm in Colorado. Where are you from? Where you at now?
Arizona.
Yeah. That's cool, man.
Yep.
Right on.
Thanks, dude.
So the thing is, though, I mean, you haven't said anything that was bad, and the thing is that you're right. We just have to continue this economy and continue with the consumerism, because we're never going to sell anything but capitalism to United States citizens. We're never going to sell socialism to them. We don't want it. And I'm a liberal.
We sell socialism all the time. What are you talking about?
Well, it's not socialism. Those are social programs you're talking about, right?
Yeah, social programs. Yeah, you're right. We sell social programs.
Which is
what do you
socialism.
think? What do you think? This is corporate welfare? Is that capitalism? Is bailing out corporations? Is that capitalism? Is that consumerism?
I agree on that 100%, brother.
Oh, I understand that. Yeah, I get that. But that's what MAGA's going to keep pushing for that, right? That's what Donald Trump's standing in front of billionaires 2 weeks ago saying, I'm going to cut your taxes again.
They know he's not going to get elected. I mean, if they really had somebody that they could elect, they would have never let him go this far. I mean,
what are you talking about? Who's they?
The Republican Party.
They don't. A lot of them don't want him to be elected.
There's a guy who, he can't even get on the ballot in 2 states.
Yeah, I'm not sure what point you're making. I'm confused,
I'm saying
Martin.
that he's not electable.
I agree. We were just talking.
Why
We were
would
talking
the Republican
about.
Party choose him if he's not electable? They must not have anyone better.
They're not choosing him, right? Like the donor class, the billionaires, the establishment does not want Trump. He holds enough of a chunk of the Republican electorate that they have no choice.
No, I don't think that's true. Because
okay, well, it's absolutely true. It's not a debatable. This is not, Martin. This isn't. You can feel however you want, but that is a fact, Martin. This is not. This is not about Martin feels whether or not something is true. That's a fact. If they could determine the candidate, that's what they tried to do. Stop talking, Martin. Stop talking, Martin. Stop talking, Martin. Stop talking, Martin. Can you stop talking while I'm talking? Thank you. So what happened was they really, I was thinking about this last night. They really up with Ron DeSantis, right? He wasted he went to Iowa for a month, wasted $150 million. They chose the wrong candidate. The billionaire donor class chose the wrong candidate. Then they got behind Nikki. And this is the problem. They are running on Reaganism, right? Nikki Haley is trying to be a Reagan candidate. The Republican Party, the electorate that Trump holds, has moved on from Reaganism, has moved on from militarism, from evangelical voters. They are more secular than they used to be. They've moved on from all of these things, and Nikki Haley has not adapted. Ron DeSantis tried to wrench Donald Trump's electorate out from under him by being him, but more awful. And that did not work because it's a cult of personality. It's not about policy. They want to re-elect Trump. This is about Donald Trump specifically. That's why the Republican Party is allowing him to do this. They don't want it, but they don't have the numbers any other way. If they didn't have to do this, they wouldn't do it.
I mean, it's the same thing that happened with Sanders. You know, he kind of infiltrated the party, but you know, he wasn't even a Democrat. So they have the choice to push their their policies and their agenda that they've been working on for years. That's the same. The same is true for the Republican Party. They probably just didn't really want any backlash from other Republicans.
That's not even a correct analogy.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, just say whatever you want, Martin. But no, I will not let that. No one agrees with that analogy.
They're Canadians.
Look, it's not even remotely the same thing. Bernie Sanders lost the primary. Donald Trump now is going to win. Donald Trump, hold on,
right.
Martin.
Right.
When others are speaking, it's not your turn. Martin, hold on. I will let you speak. We're giving you your opportunity, but you got to stop talking when other people are talking. Cool? It's not a good analogy, Martin. Donald Trump has goddamn, Martin. A little self-control. A little self-control goes a long way. Hold on. I promise you'll get an opportunity to speak. Bernie Sanders lost the primary twice. Donald Trump has won the primary twice, and he's going to win it a third time. He controls the Republican Party. He is the one in control. The people who want to be in control, the donor class, the establishment Republicans, the ones that want to shut him down, they can't. Because his base is too big. Donald Trump is the Republican Party. He is the one in power. We got to stop pretending like Donald Trump is somehow a victim of the Republican Party. He's won 2 primaries. He's going to win a third. He gets to choose who runs for Congress. He gets to choose if they help with the border wall. He is in total control of this party. I don't know what you're talking about. Bernie Sanders is not in total control of the Democrat Party.
It never was.
These are not analogous at all.
Yeah.
There's a huge faction of.
Hey, you have to enunciate, Martin. Nobody can understand you. You have to enunciate.
At all. They don't support him at all. And it's a big part of the Republican Party.
No, it's not big enough that he can't win, though, right?
No, he can't win because he's off the ballot.
No, the primary, buddy. The primary.
Well, a primary, he might win it in one state.
He's going to win all the. Do you know what I'm doing? Hold on,
we
Martin.
just went over the exit. We just went over the exit polls. Like all the numbers fly in the face of what you're saying.
What numbers? Accurate numbers?
Martin, hold on real quick. Let's make
accurate numbers. We just went over the exit polls from New Hampshire, Martin. Apparently you took in none of that because every single thing you're saying right now is not correct.
You're not liars, are you?
Martin, do you the primary? We're talking about the Republican primary. There have been 2 primaries. Donald Trump has won both of them. The third one is Nevada. I'm trying to explain it to you. When I said that Donald Trump is winning the primaries are for specific parties. Primaries are not general election. So Donald Trump is likely, almost certainly, going to win every single Republican primary. He won the first 2. He's going to win Nevada in a landslide. It looks like he's going to win South Carolina in a landslide. And at that point, Nikki Haley will drop out. It will be over. Donald Trump will win. Donald Trump owns the Republican Party. And then everybody will coalesce around him. Everybody will coalesce around him again, and he will be the candidate. That's what we're saying right now.
That's what English is all about.
A misuse of words? What words did I misuse there, Martin?
You said that he owned the Republican Party.
Yes.
That's not true at all.
Yes, it is. Okay. And we just went over that. What the exit polls have shown. Listen, Martin, I'm going to explain it to you. No, you don't understand. You understand nothing. So we're going to explain it to you because, Martin, you don't get to we don't platform you to spread disinformation. You're not being platformed to just make up lies. So here's what it is. What we were looking at while you were not listening before you came up here is that the New Hampshire primary shows that Trump in 2016, right? From 2016 till now, we see the shift of the Republican Party, right? It's become not college educated, right? It's not. It's uncollege educated people, and we've watched that shift. Who the Republican Party was in 2016 are different people now. The electorate has changed. They are Trump's voters.
Maybe you guys have a better idea. I can't wait to hear it. The suspense is killing me.
We're not. Yeah, hey, we're not Republicans.
No, I know.
The better idea. Martin, if you're going to ask a question, shut the fuck up and listen to the answer. Martin, if you ask a question,
Be right back.
then be quiet and wait for the answer, okay? Be an adult here. We're all adults. We don't have a better solution. We don't want the Republicans to win. We are making fun of Republicans because Republicans are stupid. Because I'm not done, Martin. It's your turn after I'm done. It's your turn after I'm done, Martin. Nobody can hear you. Martin, we think that Donald Trump has hijacked the Republican Party, and he's the reason that they haven't won an election since 2016. That's what we're saying. Do we have ideas for the Republican Party that would make them better? Sure. Would they listen to them? No, because it's a cult of Donald Trump. Ideas don't matter over there. You could have the best ideas in the world, and it wouldn't matter if your name is not Donald Trump.
That's how bad it is for them. They hired you guys to vilify Trump so they can throw in their other party members.
Who hired us?
Get that person in there.
Who hired us, Martin? Hey, moron. Who hired us? Martin, who hired us?
You're not getting any material.
Martin, you goddamn potato. Here's a question. I'm going to ask a question and answer the question that I asked. Oh my God. I got to mute you again. God, this is crazy, man. Who hired us, Martin? Who hired us?
The Russian government.
The Russian government.
Right?
Martin, how much did you smoke today?
The Russian government?
How much have you smoked today?
Nothing.
What are you on right now?
It doesn't matter how much I smoke. If I
no, I'm asking questions. Stop rambling, dude. Nobody cares what you have to. Shh.
Are you receiving material compensation?
Martin,
because that's
Martin.
SEC law.
Martin, nobody. I got to mute you again. Goddamn, dude. I'm trying to have a conversation like a human. I don't know.
I've never met somebody with lower information than Martin. It was right in Trump's wheelhouse of voter.
Like, I'm trying to give you an opportunity to have. Shut up, dude. I'm trying to give you an opportunity to not sound like a moron, and you won't take it, Martin.
Hey, go get a sarsaparilla. I'm talking to the lady.
Oh my God.
A sarsaparilla?
Get it all
out. Is that like old root beer or something?
Yeah, get it all out, Martin. Let them all out. Give me some more of those sarsaparilla insults. Go ahead, Martin. Jen, go ahead and unmute Martin. We're going to give Martin 2 minutes of unfettered nonsense. Go ahead, or as long as I can stand it. Go ahead and unmute Martin, and you can go. You can say your dumb shit. Go ahead, sweetheart. Martin, you're muted. I don't know if you're talking right now, but you're muted. Martin. Okay, I'll send him an invite. We love the poorly educated. We love this. Go ahead, Martin. Tell us all the smart things.
Next time, doesn't have to beg me to come back. I'd love to.
I'm giving you an opportunity.
I'm very confused about what just happened. I don't know if he was a Democrat or a Republican. I'm lost about that.
I was really looking forward to having more discussions.
I was fine with talking to Martin. Yeah, sarsaparilla, that was funny.
When I went to South Dakota, I remember
I lived in South Dakota for a year.
Drinking Sioux City sarsaparilla, and it was the best sarsaparilla I've ever had in my life.
Just stop saying sarsaparilla. Stop trying to make fetch happen. It's not going to happen.
You know what's better than sarsaparilla?
Oh God.
Butterbeer.
I don't know.
The drink of choice. Well, usually you'll go to like Hogsmeade. You can get a nice, which is just outside of.
Oh God! Stop. No Harry Potter. Can we talk? You know what I want to touch on briefly is just Ron DeSantis and how because he doesn't want to pay Trump's legal bills, the Republican Party is attacking him.
That's a great story. Yeah, explain this story. This is fucking bananas.
I don't know if you guys know, but like somebody, and I can't, it's like Elena Garcia or someone in the Florida state legislature has brought forth a bill because there's a Republican super majority to pay Trump's legal bills. The Florida taxpayers will foot the bill, Trump's legal bills. That's what this is. And then the CFO of the state, the chief financial officer, came out to back and to publicly say, "Oh, this is a great idea. Florida taxpayers should shell out $5 million for Donald Trump's legal bills." And like they're all getting hyped up and be like, "Yeah, because he's so persecuted, like Florida taxpayers should pay." And Ron DeSantis,
this would be an investment. It's good for Florida to have Trump in the White House. That's what they said.
Yeah, and so
they gotta pay his bills. Mr.
Yeah,
Billionaire
and Ron
needs $5 million
DeSantis
from
responded
Florida.
on Twitter, and he said, he just said, "But not the Florida Republican who wields the veto pen," because everyone's like, "Oh, this some Florida Republicans." Well, he responded to a Politico article, is what happened. Like, Politico posted an article titled, "Some Florida Republicans want taxpayers to pay Trump's legal bills," and DeSantis responded on Twitter, or on X, excreted, "But not the Florida Republican who wields the veto pen," meaning he's going to veto it if for some reason the Florida supermajority passes that. And they went insane on him. Like, it's still going on Twitter. And Laura Loomer responded, "Unity isn't possible with Team DeSantis. Look how disgusting he is. It's not us, it's them throwing a tantrum like a child because a governor of a state will not pay $5 million for Trump's legal bills."
That's exactly what we're talking. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Like, stop asking for unity when you want a state to pay a candidate's legal bill. Stop asking for the impossible. You will never get unity when you rally behind an authoritative dictator. Like, there will be people that stand opposed. Until Donald Trump shows any ability to unite people, to unite around ideas, to check his ego at the door, stop asking for it. You don't get to be the people that are like, "We want unity," when the guy that you're supporting does not want unity.
I do also want to point out, though, that like the Florida taxpayers are also footing millions of dollars of Ron DeSantis's legal bills of the messes he created. You know what I mean? The Florida is being sued left and right for all of this legislation that's affecting, minority groups, the big stuff with Disney. Like, they're not winning this legislation with Disney, and they have to, this legal fight with Disney, this lawsuit. And like, can you imagine the billable hours that DeSantis is causing these taxpayers? But
I was going to say,
don't get me wrong, DeSantis is doing the right thing. The Florida taxpayers should not pay $5 million of Trump's legal bills, but it is also ironic that they are paying a ton of unnecessary legal bills because of him as well.
Yeah, I do think, I was going to say that's interesting because that was a campaign stunt too. Like, they're paying legal bills for his campaign stunt.
The Martha's Vineyard, the immigration stunt, those are lawsuits too.
Yeah, and they're going to lose. They already lost Disney.
And the Florida taxpayers have to shell out for every campaign stunt of DeSantis's. All of this crazy stuff, the Don't Say Gay, but all of that stuff was to prove I'm more Trump than Trump, but just never got the point that this is about Trump specifically. Like, doing an impression of Trump or doing a more extreme impression of Trump is not what these voters are looking for.
Yeah. Yeah, no, again, they don't know what they're looking for. Like, the Republican voters don't know anything other than, like, we like Trump. Because Trump is different every day. He's a different person every day. He takes the opposite side of issues all the fucking time. He's not who he was in 2016. He's not who he was in 2020. Like, it's just, could somebody, if there's a Trump person in here, like, again, could it not be fucking Martin? Could it be somebody who can speak in full sentences?
Bring Martin back so we can mumble. So we can mumble at us. Nobody heard a word Martin was saying, by the way, besides us.
By the way, what's the point? Like, or what's the policies that you like of Donald Trump? What are the things that he's saying, like actual policies, or things that you think he's going to get done? We've been asking for this for weeks. I've gone into other Republican lives asking the same question. Nobody can answer that question. So if you can't answer that question, how's it not a cult? Please, for someone, I will give you the floor. I'll mute. Just tell me the policies that excite you with Donald Trump. Policies, not just something he said, but an actual policy that he intends to implement. Just tell me. I want to know, because when you guys say that, when you get upset that we call it a cult, and then you can't come up and tell me what you like about Donald Trump, what policies you like, when you can't tell me anything other than you like the person, then it's a cult of personality. Anybody send it to your. Is there a smart Republican out there? Somebody send it to Mother Dragon. She can tell us. By the way, I checked into that live before.
You were in it,
live.
or you were listening to it?
I just checked in.
Oh.
I was just listening, and they fact checked a guy who said that, like, he was talking about the rally sizes between Trump and Biden. He's like, well, yeah, we had COVID, and like people were vaccinated, and they were social distancing, and they didn't want to go to a rally because of COVID, and they spent like 10 minutes being like, oh, well, the vaccine wasn't out, so you're wrong. And then the next guy up said that, like, when he was at the polls, there were busloads full of Alzheimer's patients. He saw busloads of Alzheimer's patients walking in to vote, and nobody fact checked that. They're like, everybody's like, yeah, that's probably right. Yeah, that's probably right. Sarsaparilla is my safe word. I don't have a safe word.
Sarsaparilla. I can never. That is a good word. So, okay. So we've gone over Ron DeSantis being, Ron DeSantis's plight. The next thing is that I want to talk about is yesterday. Elise Stefanik, like, Liz Cheney, which, like, I cannot believe it's almost in real, like, day to day, 24 hours go by, and Elise Stefanik is like 10% crazier. Like, you know what I'm saying? She thinks this is the way to be the VP. I've said it. I said it yesterday. I said it the day before. I think this is not good. Like, becoming margarine, but more margarine is not a great idea. So Liz Cheney, like, this is really interesting because I don't remember reading this, but Liz Cheney called out Elise Stefanik on Twitter, and what she did was she linked to the Elise Stefanik's January 6th, 2021 statement about what happened. Listen to this. I don't remember ever reading this. This is truly a tragic day for America. I fully condemn the dangerous violence and destruction that occurred today at the United States Capitol. Americans have a constitutional right to protest and freedom of speech, but violence in any form is absolutely unacceptable and anti-American. The perpetrators of this un-American violence and destruction must be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. My staff and I are safe. We pray that my colleagues on both sides of the aisle, their staffs, and all Americans across the country remain safe. Thank you to the United States Capitol Police, all law enforcement, the National Guard, and the bipartisan professional staff of the United States Capitol for protecting the people's house and the American people. Wow, who body snatched Elise Stefanik? Like, it's so wild. And think about it. This is the same person that last week, right, was doing the J6 hostages, pantomime all across the media. She's on the J6 hostages tour. This woman that said this is her statement. So Liz Cheney yesterday tweeted, like, a link to this. And then she said, this is what Elise Stefanik said in a rare moment of honesty about the January 6th attack on our Capitol. One day she will have to explain how and why she morphed into a total crackpot. History and our children deserve to know. Game, set, match, Liz Cheney.
I like crackpot. I like that. I just dropped an image in the Discord of Elise Stefanik on January 6th, like, crouched in the smallest ball she can possibly find behind the pews.
She's underneath the chair.
And you can see next to her the gas masks at the ready. Like, she's got a gas mask ready. She's crouched down behind the wall, and she's just sitting. Yeah, it's just sitting there in terror. And this is the thing. This is the thing about MAGA, and this is the thing that drives me nuts about all you MAGA clowns. Like, why do you think they said that in the moment? You think that in the moment they were wrong? When they heard the shouts, when they heard hang Mike Pence, when they were hearing the screaming, when they saw the banging on the door, when they saw armed guards being the last line of defense between an angry mob and them, and then they heard a gunshot or saw a gunshot, and then somebody was unalived there at the Capitol. You think that these people went through all of that, and then later on, like a year down the road, they're like, you know what? I was in the wrong there. No, what happened is it's politically expedient to cover that up. because you don't have a political career in the Republican Party if you stand up and you tell the truth. Just ask Liz Cheney. And by the way, Republicans have now started doing this thing where they don't even know what the fuck they're mad about. I was on Twitter last night, and I can't tell you how many tweets I saw of people like, oh, Nikki Haley's the new Liz Cheney. What does that mean? What does that mean? You know what you're saying? Like, this is how dumb they are. There's like, here's another person that I hate because they said mean things about Donald Trump. What does it mean? How is Nikki Haley Liz Cheney? They're not even remotely the same. Liz Cheney voted with Donald Trump more than anybody in Congress. Liz Cheney represented one of the most conservative states in the country, and Liz Cheney told the truth about January 6th. Nikki Haley's not even really willing to do that. But is that what you're identifying? Just think about it, Republicans. Why do you think, there's a couple reasons. Why do you think you keep linking Nikki Haley and Liz Cheney? It's because they said bad things about Donald Trump, and oh, by the way, they're women. And then, like, women are all the same to you. So, like, any woman who says something about Donald Trump might as well just be, like, another woman, because their voice doesn't really matter. And I wonder, these women that surround themselves with Donald Trump, like, they watch how he's discarded people. They watch how he's disrespected women. They watch, like, who's the woman that has been by his side? Who's the woman that's been advising him ever, besides his daughter? Does he give women a voice in his administration? No, absolutely
He disposes of
not.
all of them eventually. Every woman in his life has proved disposable. It's embarrassing. Like, yeah, I was reading a really good article, like, just making the point that, like, when this shift to crazy town that we see from Elise Stefanik, I think it's just proving, like, because it's not good for her as a VP candidate. It won't help her poll moderate voters, but I think it's just showing how extreme you have to go now to defend Trump. Because I think Von Hilliard, the reporter that was kicked out of Trump's press pool for asking Elise Stefanik a question about how, as a woman, can she say, is it hard to stand next to Trump and defend him when a jury of our peers has found him liable for sexual abuse? And that's a very valid question. And her insane reaction to that, just to start screaming witch hunt and saying that it was the media who's attacking him. And he's like, no, it's a jury of people, just citizens, average citizens who have found him liable. There's no defense anymore. When it comes down to now, these are juries, right? It's not the DOJ. The DOJ made a case, but now these are normal people who have been chosen, have been presented with the facts of these crimes and are finding Trump guilty. And this is a hard thing to overcome.
Not if you're a Republican, because you just have to pretend that, like, all that stuff doesn't exist. That's what's bizarre about the arguments from Republicans. Like, in order to support Donald Trump, you can't tell the whole story. You're never allowed to.
Well, it's not even about the whole story, because it used to be misinformation, but now it just has to be witch hunt. You can't.
That's what I mean.
Tell any of the story,
but you can't tell the whole story. Like, you have to say, oh, it's the DOJ attacking Trump. Okay, well, yeah, like, on a surface level, that makes sense. Yeah, there's charges against Trump. But when you tell the whole story about how these had to go through grand juries, about how you have mountains of evidence and none of that evidence has been refuted, and in every case, it was a jury of their peers who said, yeah, there's plenty of evidence here to have a trial. Like, when you tell the whole story, then it doesn't really look like the DOJ targeting Trump, right? If somebody's targeting a political opponent, you would probably do it in a different way, but you wouldn't be able to come up with this much evidence and convince a bunch of jurors that, like, this evidence was enough for a court case. You just wouldn't be able to do that. Like, the American people aren't that stupid. If you want to convince stupid people to do something, like, go to a Trump rally, go to a Republican, like, caucus. If you're looking for stupid people who will just believe anything that you say, like, go to the Republicans, but don't go to general everyday Americans that are showing up for jury duty. Like, they don't necessarily want to be there, but they recognize that's their job, and their job is to listen to the evidence and decide if there's enough evidence to go to a court case.
Jay, they're saying the mic is popping. Your mic's popping. I was just on mute. So is it?
What about now? Are we still popping? Still popping. Sounds okay to you? People said that yesterday too, that some people had the popping and some didn't. Better. Okay. Looks like we fixed it. Great. If it starts popping again, I might just be too close to the mic. I'll just try and stay further away from the mic. Did I get a MAGA mic?
Where's your volume set at? Is it like in the middle or just out of curiosity?
No, low, very low.
Okay.
Like one. Like it's at like 9 o'clock.
I keep mine like a little less than half. I was just curious to see, like maybe.
I keep mine very low at like 9 o'clock. Maybe I'll turn it. Maybe I'll do it closer to yours. There we go.
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll do
maybe
that.
I turned mine
No
down.
popping.
You turned yours up, so maybe that will help a little bit.
Better than Martin. That's,
Whatever.
That's not tough.
Yeah,
All right.
so-
Where was I wanted to
wait, let me just bring home my Elise Stefanik rant. Well, just the rant. Like yesterday, Trump was speaking to some voters. I think I sent you the video, like outside. It's just a 14-second thing. But, he was just surrounded by some New Hampshire voters. And one thing he said is like, oh, I'm going to make a big play for New York. And what do you think that big play is? I hope it's not. I guess for the Democrats, Elise Stefanik, a zealot that denies any reality being Trump's running mate, can only help us. But I assume it says still popping, but not terrible. Yeah, I don't know. But I assume yeah.
That's not a big play. She's not popular in New York.
They know.
Like Donald Trump since 2016 has been saying like I'm going to do well in New York, and he doesn't. He never does well in New York. In fact, they're running his businesses out of New York now.
The only reason they did well this last term was because the maps were redrawn improperly, and now an independent commission is fixing those maps, and so they will not have an advantage any longer.
But and that's just on like legislative seats. But in a general election, like he can't overcome New York City. It doesn't matter who votes for him. Like he's not gonna overcome New York City. And somebody said Staten Island. Maybe Staten Island's Republican. I don't know, but there's not enough conservatives in New York for him to make a dent. And bringing on Elise Stefanik, who now, because she's gone down the Trump road, she has other conservatives who don't like her now. She's not even well respected within her own party. She's only respected within MAGA. Again, it's Donald Trump doesn't know what he's doing. He's running a terrible campaign. This doubling down on the MAGA stuff is an awful way to run a campaign. It works through these primaries, but it is not going to work on a national stage. Elise Stefanik doesn't play on a national stage.
Could not agree more. She definitely does not. And not for women. Like her screaming that she wants a federal abortion ban and banning, Roe v. or getting rid of Roe was the best thing that ever happened. I mean, her only job is to pull moderate, independent women. And the only issue these people care about is abortion.
Yeah, like, hey, what do you moderate, independent women hate the most? Donald Trump. Great. Let me tell you how wonderful Donald Trump is. How's that message gonna fly? That doesn't work. Does it, like, what are you concerned about? Abortion. Great news. The guy I'm running with is the reason that we got rid of Roe v. Wade. Oh, terrific. We're all in. Like, what's your selling point for Elise Stefanik? And again, this goes to show that like Donald Trump can't run a campaign. He's not effective at this because he demands that he never be wrong. He demands total loyalty. So he can't pick a VP that appeals to a different demographic because that different demographic hates him and they say mean things about him, and he has to have his VP say the same shit he's saying and alienate that same demographic. It doesn't work. This is one of the worst political campaigns ever run. I mean, I don't know if has there ever been a worse one?
No, this is very, very poorly run. I concur with that statement. I mean, it's hard to compete in New York when you have Judge Judy endorsing you.
Yeah.
Like Nikki Haley had yesterday. Judge Judy supports Nikki Haley, we learned. Did you
just run with Kid Rock and call it a day? Like, at least make it fun for us. Just throw up Kid Rock, please.
God, please no. Yeah. So, did you see Chris Sununu finally? Well, I mean, I suppose it was like the last day in New Hampshire. Yesterday was the primary, and he finally, came for Trump. This is the same governor of New Hampshire that's.
What did he do for Trump?
Came for Trump. finally, I mean, I get what you're saying, but I mean, for real, I think he did a really good job yesterday. I mean, not really. He should have been doing it the whole time. And he's still, by his own admission, going to vote for Trump. But Trump implied, Chris Sununu went on Fox, and then Trump, always watching Fox News 24 hours a day, implied that Chris Sununu is on illegal substances, is jacked up on something.
Self-report.
That's what I'm saying. How could Trump, Sniffy Snifferton, last night while doing his victory speech against, like how many times you could not hear him because he was so busy sniffing the entire time, is calling other people out.
I was iffy on Tim Scott. Tim Scott looked absolutely out of his mind. Like, he just kept staring up like this, and then every once in a while, now, I'm not making an accusation. I'm just saying that if you constantly are doing this, if you need to do this a lot, like sometimes there's an accusation you could levy against somebody who keeps doing this. I don't want to make accusations, but Tim Scott looked out of his mind. He was the only one in camera during the Trump rally, too. Like, you could only see his face. And he was like bonkersville. And every time the crowd would start cheering, he was on like a 5-second delay. He'd just be staring into space, and the crowd would start clapping. Then he'd go.
Yeah, he did have like a delusional look on. I know exactly what you were talking about. Or this is
Maybe
what
he's just in love.
Trump said, why does Fox keep putting New Hampshire Governor Chris Sununu on? Every time I mention his name at a rally, they boo like crazy. He's all jacked up on something, but he ran for president without having the courage to announce.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, I didn't know it. Excuse me, I didn't know I was on. I'm sorry. Hey, I just have some questions, if you don't mind. And I'm by no means a TikTok debater, so hopefully you'll take it easy on me. So I was listening to you guys talk about New Hampshire and how much trouble he was in based upon the votes that happened in the primary yesterday. So I guess my biggest question is that he's gotten 173,000 votes in primary last night, correct?
Yeah.
So
something like that.
In 2016, he got 100,000 votes, and he was competing against 6 people. Or in 2020, he got 120 votes. And obviously, he was only competing against himself. And then in 2024, he gets 173,000 votes. Nikki Haley gets 130?
Okay.
So I guess I'm trying to rationalize the thought process that he's in trouble with the Republican Party when he's gaining votes, not losing it.
Yeah, we don't think he's in trouble with the Republican Party. We think he's in trouble in the general election. So the numbers we're looking at, we're saying, like, how does this translate to a general election? And that's where we think he's in trouble. He's going to win every primary in the Republican Party. I don't imagine he loses a single one.
So what's the thought process behind all the people that changed their affiliation and voted for Nikki Haley just to spike up Nikki Haley's votes? And then when the election, they're going to vote for Joe Biden.
Well, I mean, that's possible because in New Hampshire, you can vote in any primary that you want. You just have to choose which one you're going to vote in. So historically, that's why moderates usually do well in New Hampshire. I do the same thing in Arizona. So in Arizona, you have to be registered to the party that you're voting for. But a lot of times it doesn't make sense. Like, I'm in Andy Biggs' district. So if I want to vote and get Andy Biggs removed, my only option is to vote in the Republican primary because we're too far, like it's too lopsided. I'm not going to get somebody else in for on the Democrat side. So that does happen. But that's why we look at New Hampshire to gauge what the general election is going to look like. because of exactly what you're talking about. There are people who likely are going to vote for Joe Biden that are voting in this primary. And so when we look at those numbers, that's going to be moderates, and that's going to be people who identify as independents. And then we look at like the things that matter to them. And it's when you look at the issues that matter to them most, you can really tell, like, okay, where are these people going to fall? And whether you like it or not, this election is going to be decided, like most elections, by swing voters, people who are either Democrat or Republican, but they cross over, or independents. And Donald Trump is in a lot of trouble with independents, specifically women. We're looking at these exit polls. He's getting crushed in all these demographics where he needs to pick up votes. All these demographics that cost him the election last time, he's losing votes. He's getting worse. He's not improving on any of those demographics that cost him the election.
Right, and I understand you say it's possible, but it did happen because there was a large amount of interviews and during the exit polling where people stated that they changed their affiliation just so they could vote for Nikki Haley, and then in the election they're going to vote for Joe Biden. Yeah,
but that in New Hampshire, the thing that I think that you're missing is that happens in New Hampshire every single primary. This isn't new. This isn't something that only happened to Trump. This happened. This is why Mitt Romney did really, really well in New Hampshire. This is for the Democrats. Amy Klobuchar did really well in New Hampshire. Bernie Sanders has done well in New Hampshire. Generally speaking, the people that do well in New Hampshire are the people with crossover appeal, the people who are viewed as moderates in their party. Joe Biden does great in New Hampshire, but New Hampshire generally in the primaries picks a moderate specifically for that reason. By the way, when Donald Trump was in office, you had a lot of people switch from the Republican Party to the Democrat Party so they could vote in the primary, because it was basically an uncontested primary for Donald Trump, right? Because he's the incumbent. So this happens all the time in New Hampshire. What we know from New Hampshire historically is we can look at exit polls, we can look at why people voted a certain way, and New Hampshire usually gives us a good picture of what like the general moderate or independent vote thinks about candidates. And what the general moderate and independents think about Donald Trump is that they're not going to vote for him. And I would just ask you, like, why would a moderate vote for Donald Trump? Why would anybody who's not MAGA vote for Donald Trump? What's in it for them?
I think it's more the fear of the far left than anything.
I think that moderates, and I think most Americans, are far more afraid of the far right, who correctly they identify with Donald Trump, than the far left. Because worst case scenario, far left, what are you going to have? Some higher taxes and more social programs? Far right, we're talking about ethno states. Right, we're talking about resegregation. Like, one side is far scarier than the other.
Well, I don't think I find it hard to believe that the moderate is more afraid of Donald Trump than they are of the far left.
Well, I'm speaking. You're not a moderate,
but that's why you're out of touch, right? Because women's rights are being taken away, right? People with uteruses don't enjoy the same rights that you yourself are enjoying. You don't care about that, but what exit polls are showing is women do, moderate women do, independent women do. This is about a rights issue. It's not a big deal to you, and that's what the Republican Party is misjudging.
Now, when you say you don't mean me. You mean...
Well, you said you find it hard to believe, and I'm telling you, I find it, as someone whose rights are being taken away, I find it very easy to believe. All the, abortion is a huge issue for swing voters.
I understand that. But I believe in abortion, but I also believe in abortion with exceptions, right? I'm not saying get rid of it all, but I do have an exception line that I just can't get past.
As someone with a uterus, it's my right to be in a doctor's office without you and your opinions, with my doctor, without the Republican Party, and to make the decision that's best for my health. But thank you for telling me how you feel. And that's the grave misstep the Republican Party continues to make. But yeah, and I think I do agree with what you were saying about, people who voted for Haley that intend to vote for Joe Biden. That's absolutely true. That's what the exit polls are showing, is that Haley's voters, the votes she did get, aren't people that have some reservations about her. They dislike, by and large, are people who disliked her opponent, meaning what we see and what Trump is concerned about is that by and large, the people who voted for Haley aren't going to move towards him. The votes Haley got were because she is not Donald Trump. So those votes will go towards Joe Biden. Absolutely. And that's what's concerning. Donald Trump is essentially an incumbent who predicted himself. No one made him throw out there he was going to win by 30 points. That ended up not being the case. And now we see that the votes he did not pick up are not going to go his way, most likely.
I mean, that's fair. Can I pivot on something you guys said last week? Or not pivot, but ask a question. So I listen, I don't live in that echo chamber. I listen to you guys every day. And last week you made a statement about Donald Trump getting a $20 million loan from North Korea. Then, of course, I've not heard that. And I Googled it after the live just to do my own research on it. And I'm not quite sure that, because the reason why I asked this is that later in the evening, I heard several different creators make the same statement after your live, that Donald Trump got $20 million from North Korea. And then when I researched it, that's actually not the truth, right? It's a partnership with Daewoo and a company out of South Korea that does business with North Korea. Am I mistaken on that, or?
Yeah, it's a company that does business with North Korea, and it's a $19.8 million loan that he hid.
Right, but it's a $20 million loan with South Korea and Daewoo, but Daewoo does business with North Korea, correct?
Well,
Go ahead, R2P.
Yeah. Yeah, the point is that it was hidden. That's the point. Like, again, like if you take a loan and you're honest about it, it's fine. But the reason he's hiding it is because of the ties to North Korea specifically. We would guess, right? But
right.
Again, why is he hiding that?
And that's a fair assessment. I
was mind-boggled because of the fact that you said 20. Hold on. Daewoo is the only company. I just want to clarify why this is a big deal. Again, it's the secrecy. He hid this, and it's the only company that South Korean company that was allowed to operate in North Korea, right? During the 1990s. It's a huge deal. They have huge ties to North Korea. You're massively underplaying it. And again, if this is all above board, then again, why are you hiding it?
Well, no, I'm not trying to make excuses or anything like that. I was just trying to get clarity to make sure that, because what I heard on the live was a $20 million loan from North Korea. Then I went back and researched it, and it was with South Korea with the partnership of Daewoo. Daewoo does business in North Korea. That's the only reason why I'm asking. I'm not trying to underplay it. I'm not saying he was right to hide it. He was definitely, if he hid it, he was definitely wrong to hide it. So I just wanted, that's a fair correction. That's fair. But yeah, the point, if we misspoke and said it was from North Korea, that was accidental, because it certainly wasn't like.
I wasn't saying that he loaned money got a loan from the government of North Korea.
That's fair. If we misspoke, I appreciate the correction. Honestly, that should be corrected. That's fine.
Alrighty. Anyways, I do appreciate you guys. I listen, like I said, listen to you every day. Don't listen or don't live in an echo chamber. Always looking for new information. So I appreciate y'all.
Yeah. Thanks for coming up. Appreciate it. There we go. I've just thrown on my AirPods. How's the sound? Can you hear me okay? Instead of using a mic?
I think so. Maybe I'm not the person to comment though, because I don't hear the feedback that other people, you know what I mean? The popping. Yeah, that's exactly.
Oh, it's still popping? Okay, it's TikTok.
It does sound a little farther away. Yeah, but not bad at all.
All right. Well, I'm going to throw out the mic, because if it's still popping, it's just a TikTok
they say the
thing.
mic's better. Okay. Well, yeah, I'm not the person to ask.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's just some people don't hear it. Yeah, so I don't know.
I didn't hear it yesterday, and I know a lot of people didn't, but then when I listened to the replay, it pops on the replay, so I don't know.
That's
I don't know
so
what
strange.
to say. And it could just be like Jen. It could be Jen's phone. She screen recorded. Maybe some people's phones don't have the pop. I have no idea. Why are Mike
you were
Johnson's-
listening to a screen recorded replay.
Yeah, so TikTok's doing this stupid thing. Like they won't give me a screen or the recording of our live. What happens is the first like couple minutes or 30 seconds, however long it takes before you join, it'll be the video, and then it cuts out the video. It freezes as I'm like bringing you on, and then we just have the audio. So Jen, when she's going through and putting it together, she's been having to like use multiple devices and screen record the live and then post that, because TikTok won't even give us like the actual video anymore. It's crazy.
That I didn't even know that. Okay, so that makes more sense then. That's okay. So we don't even get downloaded recordings of this from TikTok.
Nope. We're having to screen record it.
Should we send a note about maybe when I send that message later? Okay, so you have.
Yeah, believe it or not, they haven't responded to me.
I was going to say maybe I'll send a message. Yeah, no, that is a good correction. Thank you for clarifying that, because I definitely don't want to be spreading misinformation. That is a pet peeve of mine. So I apologize for the confusion about North Korea. Trump didn't get a loan from from Kim Jong-un.
Yeah, which he probably didn't get a loan from Kim Jong. He might have bummed like $20 when he was over there, or I don't know what the North Korean currency is.
It has something to do. It has to do in the 90s. This was a company, like I said, Daewoo was the only South Korean company operating and allowed to do business with North Korea, and it has to do with licensing fees again, because Daewoo was it has to do with licensing agreements.
Is this Daewoo the car company? Like,
that's one of their diversifications of their portfolio. Yeah.
That didn't go well. The Daewoo cars wasn't.
Oh
wasn't
yeah, that was a thing for a while. I mean, but South Korea, they do cars. That's part of their economy. So
just not that one anymore.
I can't even remember what they looked like. I just remember the name.
They had a little truck. They had. I remember my neighbor. My neighbors had one.
I don't remember a truck for sure.
It's pretty awful, but my neighbors had like I think it was a little Dave. Maybe I'm mixing that up.
Oh yeah, they do
truck.
TVs. I do know that too. Yeah, I think they do a lot of stuff. I think they're just like a very large.
I might be mixing that up with Datsun. It could have been a Datsun, but my neighbors had a truck, and this guy was a school teacher, and we had this kid in our neighborhood that would poop in bags, like Ziploc bags, and put them in the guy's truck, like under his seat. And there were like 30 bags of poop in the dude's seat. And I will always remember, every time I go back home and I see that guy, I just remember that he drove to and from school with like 30 bags of poop. We had this, by the way, this neighbor is in prison. He was my age. He's currently in prison. He was a psycho, but yeah, he used to do that. That's my, and someone said that's Datsun. That might be a Datsun.
Okay, yeah, because I was like, I thought Daewoos were like kind of sedans or something. I don't know why we're going over this.
I'm looking at them. They were classy cars. There was some,
like, weren't they a little bit nice? Like weren't they like a?
Well, it's hard to say because these are from the 80s, but I mean, they just look like they all look like Toyota Corollas. That's.
But didn't they have like a revival? Like, because I don't remember them from the 80s. I didn't, like, I don't know. Never mind. It's not that important.
Yeah, somebody let us know. I don't consent to knowing any more personal things about Jay. That is far from the weirdest story from my childhood. You guys will hear more.
Can't wait. What were we talking about before? Oh, I was just talking about Chris Sununu and coming after. Oh, yeah, that's right. What I wanted to do, it was so funny. Like, oh, yeah, this is what I wanted to go over. What's her name? The Trump host, Harrison Faulkner. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I mean, I've always considered her like favorable to Trump, but since, Rupert Murdoch clearly has been giving fair time to Ron DeSantis and to Nikki Haley. And I think it's clear that there are some hosts that are very loyal to Trump still. But Harrison Faulkner, like, shut Chris Sununu down. All Chris Sununu was saying was like, Trump's doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? And he said he would pay money to debate Trump. That's what he said. He's like, Trump won't debate anyone. He's a coward. He's like, I would pay money to get on a debate stage with Trump if Trump would debate me. And he said he's a coward. Literally, that was the quote. He's a coward, right? And basically saying he won't get on the stage. And Harrison Faulkner was like, oh, we're not name calling. Like you know what? I couldn't believe it. Like, you can't say just the fact that he won't debate anyone. I just was shocked, like, how hard of a line she took. Like, it was like her face changed. She was like, we're not doing this.
We're talking about Donald Trump here. He literally has a nickname for everybody.
That's what I'm saying.
He's been campaigning. The amount of awful stuff Donald Trump has said on this campaign trail and like on live Fox News events about Chris Sununu, and Chris Sununu calls him a coward, and now we can't call names. That's the thing. That's the culty part of it.
That's what I'm saying.
We got to come together, and we got to come together by all accepting this man will treat us like dog shit. That's what we need to do.
Yeah, and Trump was saying crazy things all day yesterday. He basically alluded like he doesn't need the independent voters in New Hampshire, which was another grave mistake. He did that very early in the day on Fox, was caught saying like, oh, basically like we don't need them. It's like that's what New Hampshire is the independents and the moderates, like discounting them and basically saying anyone who's not for him, kind of just basically saying, well, anyone who's for Nikki, we don't need them. But you do need them, Trump.
Look, if he was running a smart campaign, and getting ready for the general, which he's almost certainly going to be a part of, if he was running a smart campaign, he would look at these independents and he would realize that they didn't go for him. And when he gave his concession speech, he would thank all the people who voted for him. And then he would address those voters and he would say something like, I understand I didn't earn your trust tonight. I didn't earn your vote, but like, I look forward to working with you. Like, I work forward to talking about the issues that you have with my campaign or with my strategy or with me. But instead, he has to do this thing where he can't be wrong. The only reason not to vote for him is if you're stupid. And so he has to smear anybody who didn't vote for him. It's such a bad campaign strategy. It's the worst campaign strategy I've ever seen. I'm not going to be shocked if it's a blowout in 2024.
It's the worst campaign strategy at the worst time, right? Like we keep talking about. He should be doing yesterday. He should have been doing the exact opposite, but it's his pride or whatever it is that refused. He should be moving back to the middle. All he should have been doing yesterday was welcoming the Nikki voters, saying, "Hey, we'd love to have you." You know what But he couldn't muster to even do it. Oh, I think I found the clip too. I just want to play the clip of Chris Sununu finally finding a backbone for once on Fox. Oh wait, I need to turn it.
Donald Trump.
I think this is
I want to see you debate Donald Trump.
I would pay to do that if that coward would get on the stage with anybody. Any of us would love to. Please.
Did you hear? No name calling. We don't need that.
Coward.
You cannot going to be better.
You cannot say you're in a presidential campaign, but be too afraid to get on the debate stage and defend him.
Did you hear her? She's just like, no. I've never seen her shut somebody down like that. She's usually pretty neutral, and kind of is like a feel-good reporter, not hard-hitting stuff. She was like, what she said that you could barely hear is like, no name calling. We're not going to do this. I thought you were going to be better.
You were going to be better. This is that dear leader shit. This is like living in campaigning against Donald Trump, being in the same party as him or then the opposing party. You're living in two different worlds. In the Donald Trump world, it's locker room talk. Anything goes. He's brash, but he speaks his mind. But when somebody else speaks their mind, then suddenly it's a problem. And it really is like it's an abusive relationship, and people have become accustomed to Donald Trump being abusive 100% of the time, that's just who he is. But if anybody else says something that they view as abusive, it's startling to them. Like that's a real reaction she had. That wasn't premeditated.
It wasn't. She did not think about it.
But think about who you have become and what you've dealt with when you hear somebody call Donald Trump a name and you have a visceral, quick reaction. And by the way, also insulting him. I thought you were better than that. That's where we're at. Keep telling me it's not a cult. That's a crazy reaction to have. Coward? Like coward is the I call Republicans cowards every day.
Yeah. So listen to this. So it went on like so. What Sununu says is like basically if he's off the teleprompter, he can't keep a cogent thought. I worked with him closely. He's not the same guy. And like, listen, so she's continuing to defend him. He says he's nearly 80 years old. And she immediately, without thinking, is like 77. And he's like, that's nearly 80. Like, we'll do math later. Like, that's what he said to her. He goes, we'll do math later. Like, what's wrong with you? Listen to this.
I think I'm a lot sharper than her. I would do this. I would sit down right now and take an aptitude test, and it would be my result against her result, and she's not going to win. She's not going to even come close to winning.
Do you have anything you'd like to say?
Yeah, this is the guy. This is the guy that was blaming Nikki Haley for January 6th and couldn't. If he's off the teleprompter, this is not Donald Trump of 2016, guys.
So,
if he's off the teleprompter, he can barely keep a cogent thought. I mean, that's just fact.
but you've seen him in person as many, probably more times.
I've worked with him very closely. He's not the same guy. This is not Donald Trump.
He didn't
on
have
his
a poster
fastball.
last night.
Yeah, look, this guy is nearly 80 years old.
Yes, he did.
77.
Yeah, that's nearly 80. We'll do math later, but look, he.
I think I'm.
Like, why is she defending him like that so fervently? Like, it's like her life depends on it. Like, you're a reporter. You're interviewing someone. Let him say what he wants to say. But she's full court, like, pressing him.
Her response to that was brilliant, by the way. I don't know if you caught her concession speech. She brought up that he challenged her to a cognitive test, and she's like, "Well, if you're up for that, why don't we just have a debate? Like
Exactly.
if you
Oh,
want to
yeah,
if
yeah.
you want
I
to test
have
our
that
if you
clip,
want
I
to test
think.
our mental acuity, let's have a debate." Which of course he's not going to do.
Yeah, I think like since we kind of went backwards, but yeah, just tying it all together, I think that is why Trump was so triggered when he got up to do his speech. Like, because she was saying stuff like that. She's like, okay, well, he's saying he's smarter than me, he's confusing all these things. Well, we could settle that in a debate. And he doesn't like that. She directly called him out, made him look foolish. And I think he was thinking this could be her concession speech,
Yeah, it's for all the time that Donald Trump spends on the campaign trail, for all the talk of him being a hard worker, he never takes any time away from the media. If he's not on camera, he's watching who is. That's all this guy does. This is why he doesn't have a strategy. This is why he doesn't have policy. This is why he's incoherent. Because to him, it's all attention. He's either watching what people are saying about him and rage tweeting or truthing, or he's on stage himself. This is just an attention whore. That's all he is now. Sununu nailed it. This is not the same guy from 2016. Donald Trump tried to be president for a little while. He gave it his best effort. He said like, I'm going to stop being a dick. I'm going to try, like, I'll meet with Schumer and Pelosi. Like, he tried it for a minute and he didn't like it. He didn't like it one bit because when he capitulates to something, people criticize him, and he cannot take criticism. So this is who he is. This is an old man, old rich man who sits and watches television and gets angry, and then every night goes out on stage and complains about what he's angry about. And you still have a bunch of morons like, we got to vote for this guy. This is our guy.
This is Abby Phillip. Well, just the CNN, report after Trump's speech. This is them talking about like what Trump had just done when he was so angry at Nikki Haley. And this, I think this is pretty true.
So
Sorry,
he should be.
hold on one second.
feeling
Miss
good.
Julie, I just accidentally sent you an invitation. Just ignore that. I apologize, Miss Julie. I was trying to hit
Hi,
something
Miss
else and I
Julie.
sent you an invitation. I love you, but just ignore that.
Okay.
So he should be feeling good. But as Jake said, that's not the tone.
Add Nikki Haley to the roster of people standing behind him who he defeated.
Yeah.
There's a reason that they're all there. The Vivek Ramaswamis and the Tim Scotts and whoever else. Trump wants to show his dominance, to prove it to voters, and to have people come and kiss the ring. And the fact that Nikki Haley has not done that yet is a problem for him. But I will say, Nikki Haley and her campaign, they're going to be huddling probably every day until that decision is made. And in the meantime, all of the people around her know Trump's mood tonight, and they see his anger, and they do not want to be on the other side of Donald Trump if he is inevitably, as he looks like he might be, the nominee to the Republican Party. That is going to be a huge pressure point for Nikki Haley as people try to not be the last person to cross the line over to the Trump column.
Like when Trump, the minute they declared, Trump had won New Hampshire, John Cornyn tweeted that second. It was like, okay, I've seen enough, because that's what's going on. And it's, Trump is saying the time is now, like, cross the line now and back me, or I'll remember that you didn't back me.
Yeah, so one of the things that Voldemort did after he thought he killed Harry no, wait, hold on, this is a good one. He showed up and he stands in front of everybody, they all go to Hogwarts, and he's like, hey, I'm giving you guys this chance to cross the line. Before we destroy all of you, you can come join us. And then we're going to have the war. And just remember that Elder Wand is not going to work for Donald Trump.
Okay, exactly.
Because it's not rightfully his, okay? He didn't win it. Snape won it. That's what. So it doesn't react to him. It doesn't. It's not
I
his.
get where you're going with this now. Yeah. I literally lost my train of thought because of that.
Sorry.
I don't even remember. I swear, I don't even remember what I was going to say. Let me address some things.
A couple people in the comments said, "Are we not taking guests?" We are taking guests, just opposition. So YKC, I'm pretty sure you were not opposition. That's why I think we bumped you out of the guest box. But yeah, if you're new here, we mostly just take opposition.
Yeah, we would love to talk to Republicans. Guys, tap the screen. We're almost to 200K. Gosh, I can't believe it's almost 12:15. Definitely tap the screen. Let's invite Republicans. Harry Potter is awesome. Hey, I love Harry Potter. I've seen every Harry Potter movie, but like just talking about it, I don't make political analogies.
I'm just telling you, it is so analogous to Trump. Like, you even had like the Trump Horcruxes, right? You had like Attorney General Barr. Like he kept him safe, right? Barr kept Donald Trump safe. He was a legal mind, and then somebody got a basilisk fang and knocked out Attorney General Barr. You had Rudy Giuliani running cover. Now he's broke. Somebody hit him with that. It is so. When I was watching it, I was like, this is the most analogous thing I've ever seen to Donald Trump. He is Voldemort. Overestimates his power, overestimates his charisma, doubles down when he shouldn't. He's Voldemort. It's just, this is how it ends.
You should, if you ever run for office, you should run on this analogy. Just hammer it home. I think it would speak to a lot of millennial. There's a large cross section of people that would totally understand the analogies.
Right.
Let's see. Oh yeah, I kind of remember what I was going to say. I was just going to make the comment of, I think Trump was trying to have this whole picture, right? Just like what Abby Phillip was saying in that video of all of the people Trump defeated, right? That's why Vivek was there. That's why he wanted Tim Scott there, kind of behind him, flanking him. So he could, these are my kills, these are the people I've overcame. And I think he thought last night he was going to kind of accept Nikki Haley's resignation. And then he heard her get up there and talk about how, okay, if you want to say you can pass a cognitive test, well, then debate me. And I think that he just was not, that's not how he saw it going in his head. And he had a meltdown.
Why? So I know that politically, I understand why people would advise Donald Trump not to debate. I get that. It's the right strategy. But I've been wondering why that doesn't get to his ego. When people keep calling him too cowardly to debate, I've wondered why that doesn't get to his ego. Is he self-actualizing? Is he realizing that what he's saying is insane and he can't say it on stage? Because I just can't imagine Donald Trump internally, or even when somebody tells him no, dude, you're too insane to debate. I can't imagine what excuse they gave him to not debate. It's a stage. He gets to yell at people. He gets to argue. He gets to talk over people. It's everything that he loves. Is it just that he's at a point now where he refuses to be challenged? Is that why you think he's not doing it? Because I really don't think he's not smart enough to do it for political strategy.
Well, at first, I'm of two minds. I think that, look at you just watched your first Trump rally all the way through.
Glorious.
Well, at first, I really think every lawyer he has he can't debate because if they ask him about these cases, or just Trump has no self-control. So I've always thought probably definitely his legal team is like, please don't do this. Because anybody could say anything, ask him anything. Like, Trump, someone says something and triggers him, he has no self-control.
Yeah, I think that's the best answer, actually. I think that's the best answer.
Yeah, if I'm just being logical, I think his legal team, like if I was his lawyer, I'd be like, if you debate, I quit. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's how much legal jeopardy he's in. And he can't just, with no one triggering him on stage, he can't control what he's saying. So that's the most logical reason. But I also think like Trump always says himself, like, campaigning all this stuff isn't easy, and I think it's not. I think that Republican primary debates are probably the hardest part of debate. Like, he has a clear lead. Why expose himself to, he could be embarrassed, he could look stupid, and he has such a large lead, he doesn't have to take that risk. He's an incumbent.
Now, do you think that people seeing Trump unwilling to debate is why MAGA won't debate anymore? This is across the board. I've seen, if you go into like debate spaces where you used to have a lot of spirited debate, places on YouTube, like Modern Day Debate, all it is now is flat earth or abortion. Nobody will debate politics anymore. And largely my impression is that right wingers don't want to debate. I can't think of a right winger, a prominent right winger on that used to be in the debate stages that is willing to debate. There is an interesting one. Destiny debated Ben Shapiro on Lex Friedman's podcast. They finally released it. I was listening to it last night. We'll probably have some clips of that. It's fascinating, but I wonder. I feel like that Trump's unwillingness to debate has caused this. I don't know, not divide. What do I want to say? Like this feeling with Republicans that like they shouldn't debate anymore, that it's fruitless to debate. It's fruitless to have those discussions. And that's when democracy dies. Like when people no longer are willing to debate their ideas and have discussions, like that's when democracy dies, which is, I guess.
But I mean, I just don't think there's anything to debate. Like you said, you stopped debating. You didn't like when you were a Republican being in debates because the data was going against you. Like I think at this point with Donald Trump, you have to be in for blind faith. You know what I mean? You just have to be willing to say, I believe him. Like, it doesn't matter what the facts are saying. Like, I'm just all in at this point. Like, there's no more explanation to be had. It's kind of like a belief in Jesus or Santa. Like, that's the point we're at. You're just all in.
Mary fuck killed Jesus, Santa, Trump.
Oh my God. What? No. I'm not playing. What would you do?
I'm not playing.
I'm not doing that. No.
I'm marrying all three of them. I'm going back to my Mormon roots. We're doing polygamy.
But this is the thing I was thinking about, like, and I was going to say, like, when I look at the Reagan Republicans, so pre-Trump and what we've seen, like the New Hampshire primary, whereas the exit polls of the New Hampshire primary showing the shift of the Republican electorate is so interesting because pre-Trump, the Republican Party was about what, right? It was about the evangelicals. It was about the Milton Friedman simps, right? Like the capitalism stuff. And it was about peace through strength, like the foreign policy strategy of we spend on the military. And those were the legs of the Republican Party. And all the exit polls, everything we're seeing in New Hampshire is showing that that has shifted. These are not the interests of the Republican Party. The Republican Party is less religious, right? People, because of scarcity in the economy and no buying power, people are like, something's going on with capitalism, right? Like, what's happening here? And then, and then what was my third one? I just forgot what my third. Oh, the military. Now people are starting to ask, which, I don't like the talking point, because MAGA started with it being about, well, Trump said that he can negotiate with Putin. That's delusional. But if you want to have an honest, good faith conversation of why are we funding wars outside of this country? Where's the money come from? Who are we borrowing this money from? All of these larger, serious questions that Republicans now are interested in asking, right? Like, it used to be any military action was greenlit by the Republican Party. And what the problem is with Nikki Haley is that, or all the Republican Party, is they are not, the Republican electorate has shifted. They believe different things now, and the Republican establishment is offering no solution to that. Nikki Haley is still a Reagan Republican, and they just can't see the shift. They can't even see it on abortion. You know what I'm saying? Like, the Republican Party needs to pivot.
Well, and that's the thing. It's such a directionless group now. Like, Nikki Haley is wholly uninspiring. She has no original ideas. She's not able to articulate plans very well. But like you said, like she does like add some nostalgia going back to those Reagan Republicans, those saner days. But it's ironic that like Donald Trump is so supported by the Christian right, while he's also partially responsible for the ongoing death of Christianity. Right? Like, people found a cult that works better for them. And it's a cult that allows them to be more cruel. It allows them to be more violent. Yeah, like that cult is a more fun cult. And I've said this before, but like the Mormon Church, their biggest exodus, the number one cause of people leaving the Mormon Church in the last 20 years was COVID. And it's because the Mormon leader, who was a heart surgeon, said, yeah, you should be vaccinated. You should follow COVID guidelines. And friends of mine left that were just like, oh, like I have a friend who bashes the Mormon prophet all the time, but just for that, like a guy who's a heart surgeon, and he's like, oh, that guy's an idiot. He thought you should get vaccinated. But this new cult is more fun. The conspiracy theories are more fun. The characters are updated. You can have a little bit more language. You're allowed to have like multiple affairs with this leader. That's pretty cool. We don't talk about it. We just set it aside. Like, it's a better cult. In all fairness, if you're going to be in a cult, like, the rules are far less stringent in the Trump cult than they are in the Christian cult. But it is ironic to me that like there's these two factions of like the Trump cult. You have the diehard Christians, and then you have the people who are just like anarchists, atheists that also love him. It's a bizarre like group of people.
Yeah, it's just I was just thinking about this last night. There is no, until the Republican establishment, or what's left of the Republican Party that opposes Trump, right? Until they have an answer for the shift in the Republican electorate, they will continue to lose. Times they haven't changed. And like, just even the shift, when you think about the shift in the Republican Party to non-college educated voters, like an understanding of foreign policy, right? Where do you get that? That's understanding supply chain, and how protecting that supply chain, a lot of America's military action has to do with protecting the supply chain, and and how that can then affect, right, things at home, America first. And so not being able to make that connection is a fundamental misunderstanding, and the Republicans don't have an answer for that.
Yeah. Diversity, right? Diversity of thought, diversity of ideology. Like, you need to understand those things globally. You need to understand like how you can coexist with other cultures, other economic structures. Like, you have to understand that. And that's what Voldemort didn't understand. He wasn't reaching out. He wasn't diversifying. He just,
it's like for a second I didn't realize what was happening, and then I was like, "Is
he just kept bringing back the same Death Eaters, and some of them had turned their back on him, and his message was outdated at that point." No, but you're dead right on that though. Like, they've chosen to isolate themselves, and when you isolate yourself, when you make that decision, when you go in that direction, that's the beginning of the end. That's the beginning of the end of every cult. That's how you become an echo chamber, and that's where the cult goes to die. This knee-jerk reaction, against any sort of diversity of either thought or who people are, the fear of immigrants, the fear of trans people, the fear of gay people, the fear of brown people, like whatever it might be, like this fear of diversity is what is undoing the Republican Party. Where before, like they at least on the surface pretended that they liked diversity. They pretended that like they might fix some things, but like we've gone backwards. We already did the gay marriage thing. That's what's blowing my mind. We did the gay marriage thing.
I know, we did.
The Republicans lost, and then the Republicans are like, oh, they all pretended they were cool with it for so long. And now all of a sudden they're back. They're like, just kidding. We fucking hated it the whole time. Tricked you. It's like, all right, cool. Like, we already did this one, though. You guys already lost this one. And now your numbers are lower. And they're doubling down on those numbers. We'll just isolate ourselves and make sure that we only surround ourselves with people who also hate gay people. And then it'll make us feel like we're the silent majority. No, you're the vocal minority. That's who you are. Like, you've stopped being the silent majority. You never were, but... You're nowhere near that. You're a vocal minority.
I think it's hard, for better or for worse, like this needs to play out, right? I was trying to think about this last night. It makes me super uncomfortable, I think, to watch the disillusion, if you will, of the Republican Party, because it's been such an institution and it makes us all uncomfortable. Like, where is this all going to shake out? Like when the dust settles, where is this all going to be? There's so many unknowns right now, but it's also a necessary change, right? Like, the Republican Party does need to be broken apart. And because its own voters are saying, we no longer stand for the things you guys are trying to make us stand for.
Yeah.
I respect MAGA for that. Like, I will say, you know what I mean? For not just going along to getting along and like, but for real, how many,
no, I agree.
Like, if there's one thing I do appreciate hearing MAGA voters say is like, you hear them say like, we didn't even understand what these people were, you know what I mean? Like they like Donald Trump because they understand what he's saying, like he's relatable. But I mean, that's a problem that the Republican establishment needs to fix. These people relate to you, not at all. They value what you value, not at all. And for a long time, the Republican establishment didn't care. They did not care about their voters. They just expected loyalty. And so, yeah, I think that it's scary to watch this happen. And we don't all know where the chips are going to fall. But yeah, it's a disillusion that needs to happen.
Well, the irony, like in the history books, the way that this will be written is you will have a guy, and I really think like that'll be the message for people who study political science. You will have the message on day one of you will get so tired of winning and then doing nothing but losing. Like it started, the MAGA movement in the Trump presidency, in all fairness, was one of the most remarkable rises to power for a politician in the history of our country. It was a movement. It was. And whether you liked what the movement stood for or not, at the time it was a movement. It was a referendum on our government. It was people standing up and saying like, fuck this. We're tired of the same old motherfuckers in here doing the same shit. We're bringing in somebody new. And unfortunately, the person that they brought in that was new didn't know what he was doing and is completely incapable of governing. And so this movement that started with so much hope, and again, I agree, it was a movement. Even when Donald Trump gave his victory speech,
someone said it was so like different. Harry Potter's secret magic group. Stop. This is never going to end. Yeah. We're going to be doing this forever.
This is like the Order of the Phoenix, as they created the Order of the Phoenix, and it built and it
Chamber of Secrets.
Yeah, and do you remember when he gave his victory speech? It was he said like I'm not gonna be the guy that I was. I'm gonna be better. I'm gonna rise to the presidency.
Trump
I'm gonna work across lines. Yeah, it was along those lines. I remember tweeting like, "Hey, that was a good speech. I'm gonna give this guy a chance." But go back and watch his victory speech and just see like it still had some Trumpy stuff, but he was trying to make an attempt to mend those fences. And that lasted like 12 seconds. And then it was just fucking chaos from then on. And all he's done since then is destroy and divide. He hurt the country. He hurt his party. He hurt his personal business. He hurt his family. Everybody who came along with him for the ride, they've all been irreparably harmed. He's done nothing but lose for years. And this will be a case study for centuries on how to fuck up a political career. how to fuck up a movement. Like he's done everything wrong along the way, and there's still just some hangers on that want to believe that something's going to change. That's not how this works. Political movements don't slowly die and then all of a sudden take off without changing anything. Just like
that's why I said adapt or die. Like they have to change. Yeah, I completely agree. That's the thing.
They're saying die or adapt, but they don't have that power, right?
Exactly.
Like, they're telling everybody else, we're going to crush you unless you adapt. But when you look at the numbers, and they're the ones that are dwindling. That number is falling.
But this is the thing. So yeah, Trump is not the guy. Like Trump has his own legal issues. Trump needs to take accountability for his own actions. But like my thing is they are following him, but that's because the Republican Party refuses to pivot now, right? Like answer the call. These people are telling you what's important to them. Pivot. Give them somebody that they respect. It's not Nikki Haley. And same thing with Democrats as well. The best candidate? Probably not. Like instead of just staying stagnant, like are we answering the call? Are we getting more progressive candidates on the left? Like you hear Gen Z saying they want, like, you know what I mean? Like I just want to see these parties, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. You want to stay relevant, then your electorates are telling you what they want.
It does carve out like if Donald Trump continues down this route and the MAGA movement dies as we thought, there is a small window where a third party can emerge, which would be beautiful. And if that third party emerges and it's big enough, I think then you can get ranked choice, because that third party, everybody would be, all three parties would be incentivized to have ranked choice. It makes sense for all of them, right? Especially the conservative side, especially that conservative one where they're going to feel like both parties are going to leave them out. Everybody's to the left of them. They'll have an incentive to go for ranked choice. So like, I don't think the Republican Party necessarily dies, but the MAGA movement dies. And if we can get some people who are politically savvy enough that are moderates, I probably wouldn't be a member of that party, but I would love to see the moderates, the people like Chris Christie, Joe Biden, Joe Manchin, whatever. Maybe I would say Nancy Pelosi, honestly. I know people don't think that she's more left, but I think that there's a group that
she's
could
a
coalesce
moderate.
I know people just think she's far left, but there's a group in the middle that could coalesce, and you could have a legitimate moderate party, and that would allow Democrats, especially those that feel like the party's not left enough, that would allow them to have a party that they're more proud of. And again, with ranked choice voting, it's better outcomes for all of us. Everybody wins in that scenario. So Donald Trump, keep doing your thing. Like, keep being a moron. Keep running it in the ground. Salty Miner, I see you there. Great news. You'll still have a party. You guys will suck and you'll lose all the time. And everybody will be left of you, but you'll still have something to hang on. You'll still be able to be like, Trump is the GOAT. He's a one-term president that lost to a fossil, but he's the GOAT.
One day we're going to talk to Salty Miner.
I don't know. I think maybe
have
if
you
we
ever
did
talked to him?
No, I don't know, but maybe if we hosted this live in a mine, I think maybe it's all the sunshine and the bright lights that are keeping him from.
Are you an actual miner, Salty Miner? That would be the question.
He is salty. There was one thing I wanted to talk about. Where was it?
Salt mine. Stop. God, the jokes are not funny. We have made so many corny jokes today, like hilarious.
Yeah, it reminds me of Harry Potter. It just reminds me of like the corny jokes that are in Harry Potter. They're so good. Where was it? Son of a bitch. Where was that one?
What is that? Oh, a troll. I was like, what is that?
Shit, where the hell did it go?
What are you thinking
you didn't
about?
delete something, did you? I can't remember.
I didn't delete anything unless it was accidental.
I highlighted it so that I would remember, and then I clicked on something else because I'm stupid. Where was it?
Oh, well, we didn't talk about Biden's pro-choice. I don't know if anyone's following what's going on with Dark B, but he brought the house down yesterday giving pro-choice speeches that were amazing. He was really on yesterday.
He did. I didn't even know he gave a speech.
I texted you about it.
Well, I might have. Oh, this is what it was. I found it. It's number 60.
Okay.
Because I hate Greg Gutfeld.
Oh, yeah. I recorded like 2 minutes. I have the recording of that, I think.
Let's play it.
Because he's so gross.
Need to prep it, or should
did you listen to it? The whole
Yeah.
thing. Oh my god.
Yeah. We'll just prep everybody
Greg
by
Gutfeld
saying
was saying very awful things about AOC because he's,
he's exactly as creepy as you expect him to be. And again, just goes to show that the Republicans being uncomfortable with anything that has to do with sex is literally just like internalized stuff from their childhood and from their Christianity, where sex is something that like nobody can talk about. It's not something that's supposed to be out in the public. So when it is, they're uncomfortable at all times. But it's easier to go after marginalized communities than everybody else. So they choose to attack marginalized communities who don't have the ability to punch back in the same way, or specifically women. And here's Greg Gutfeld being exactly who you think Greg Gutfeld is.
Bashing Trump supporters.
Donald Trump is what you actually get when you want a politician to embody all of like your hopes and dreams and like caricatures of yourself.
Yes.
And Donald Trump affirms insecure men's idea of masculinity.
Yes.
They affirm insecure people's idea of wealth.
Internalized misogyny.
Yeah. Insecure white folks' idea of race.
Greg, I want
Can you pause that real quick?
because this infuriates me.
Let's just cover the claim here. The claim is that he makes people insecure because of their internalized misogyny, right? What were all three? There were three of them.
Well, do you want me to?
Yeah, let's play.
Maybe 80 million people, 75, 80 million people might want something that you don't want. They will call them dumb, racist, misogynistic, deplorable, because those people don't see what you see. I don't like Taylor Swift, but I can see why a billion people embrace her music. And when AOC happily psychoanalyzes groups of people, then it's an invitation to return the favor, right? If she can do it, she's saying that people who support Trump are projecting their masculine insecurity. But isn't she saying that because of her own insecurities about her boyfriend's masculinity, right? She must realize how soft and buttery and feminine progressive males are. And it's hard to get horny with a snowflake. So it's why, and I think this is why she is so pro-illegal immigration. She's projecting her secret desires for young, virile men who are coming here in droves, and she's stuck with Pajama Boy, and it's driving her crazy. All these Trump supporters, men, MMA fighters, drives her nuts. And then I want to just say one last comment about Chris Cortez.
Then he goes off on Chris Matthews.
Yeah, ladies.
Yeah, I
any
don't even
thoughts
know what
on
to say
Riley
about it.
Roberts? Like, Riley Roberts is a big, strong, bearded, masculine man.
Who's Riley Roberts?
That's her fiance, her
Oh,
boyfriend
yeah.
that he calls like Pajama Boy. Riley, I don't know.
Is that? I didn't know why he was saying that.
Yeah, because
I know
Riley
what her.
Roberts
I
is
know
a-
what he looks like.
Yeah, what are they talking about? And by the way, let's set up a line. Greg Gutfeld in one line, AOC in another line, and let's line up all the people that would love to date them. How long do you think? Like, AOC's line is miles. Greg Gutfeld is like nobody, and his wife is there, but she's like, I'm not really in line. I'm just here to see. Like, she's not even getting in line. AOC is brilliant. She's beautiful. She stands up for people all across this country that don't have a voice. She's a success story. She's self-made. She went from being brilliant in school. She had a star named after her. She went, was it Penn, NYU? I can't remember what school she went to, on a full ride scholarship.
Boston University.
Boston University, thank you. Then she steps outside of Boston University, and because she takes a job bartending while she's figuring out what to do with her career, everybody has just labeled her as a bartender. Like, she is incredibly successful. You know what Greg Gutfeld is? He's the same as every other right-wing commentator, a failed fucking comedian. That's who he wanted to be. All these right-wingers, Steve
That's what Jesse Waters is,
Greg
too.
Gutfeld, Jesse Waters, Michael Knowles, every one of them wanted to be an entertainer. They wanted to be in Hollywood, and Hollywood said, you're not cut out for this shit. So they went to the right wing. So they just became right wing commentators. Because if you have any semblance of personality, right wingers think you're funny. Like, you want to talk about failing up. Greg Gutfeld, anybody at Fox News that is supposed to be an anchor, anybody that is an anchor, failed up. They didn't make it with their actual dreams, and their fallback is right-wing commentary. Every one of them had a different goal. And for them to look at AOC, who's done nothing but, like, improve her circumstances her entire life, is absolutely bananas. But this man that she is engaged to would beat the ever-living shit out of Greg Gutfeld. Greg Gutfeld's like 5'4", and he's in his mid-50s, and he's up on stage talking about masculinity. Shut the fuck up, dude. This guy could put you in his pocket.
But you're missing the whole point, though. Like, the point is that you're following but I mean, you're making the point that Greg Gutfeld's making, but the point is not that, is that AOC's not with that man because he is huge. Like, it's because he's kind. It's because he's intelligent. It's because he values her intelligence. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the fundamental misunderstanding of what appeals to women about men. Like,
no, I get
him
that,
saying, you can't get turned on by a snowflake is what he's saying of AOC.
No, I get that. I'm just saying that the stuff that he is claiming, like, I'm using his definition of masculinity, and in every way, this man that AOC is with fits his definition of masculinity more than he does. That's what I'm using his definition of what is masculinity, and using that definition to say that in every way, this man is far superior to Greg Gutfeld.
Yeah, he like Travis Kelce. So he's like a foot taller than her for sure. So either way you go with it, but I mean, I think the larger point is that Greg Gutfeld misunderstands what women value about men, or what we see as true masculinity, which is being able to be vulnerable, being able to be accountable, being present. You know what I mean? Like, these are things that we look for in partners, and men are like, oh, she wants someone that turns her on. It's just a fundamental misunderstanding of what women value and what essentially does turn us on.
Yeah, there's not a chance in hell Greg Gutfeld could be in a relationship where he's not the star. And I think, like, he sees that as weakness. Like, Riley Roberts will never be the star in that relationship, and he's comfortable with that. That takes a lot of self-respect to not be the star in the relationship. That also takes a lot of respect for your partner. If you don't care which one of you is shining in the media, like, that's a good person. That is a well put together person. That's somebody who probably just loves the person that they're with. Like, because reality is, you got a bunch of people like Greg Gutfeld that are going to call you a simp or a cuck or whatever, just because the person that you're getting married to happens to be like a star.
I mean, again, that's a male thing. Women all the time, we take a backseat to the men we date, but not because that's our role, because we don't value that. Like, being the star of a relationship is not something that occurs to women. We look for true partnerships.
Greg Gutfeld is by far the worst LOL doll, I think. Of all the LOL dolls, he's the worst one. If you don't get that reference, you may not have children. I don't know. Do you know what that reference is?
Yeah, I know what an LOL doll
gotcha.
is.
All right. You didn't look like you like. Do I need to go back to Harry Potter references?
No.
Should I go back to that? Okay. All right. Is there anything else we need to cover? We may just call it a little early today. Were there any other stories you wanted to make sure we covered? That was the one I wanted to make sure.
No, yeah, that one was gross. I mean, there's so many things we should be covering. I wanted to say something. Like, I know we don't talk about it much, but I had it in the outline a couple days ago, but just an update. Like, I don't know. I was reading a New York Times article about what's going on with the Fonnie Willis case, which again, this doesn't have so much to do with the case, with Trump's Georgia case. But so what happened was, like, with this, what's the guy's name? Is it Nathan Wade? Is that the
Nathan Wade? Yeah.
Okay. So that attorney that they're saying is in a relationship with Fonnie Willis. So Fonnie Willis was subpoenaed in his divorce proceedings. Did you know that that's what's going on and how all this came out? Fonnie Willis was subpoenaed, but then that's been stayed because first the judge wants to hear from him. But again, it doesn't matter. He's going through a messy divorce case, and they want to know, Tim, I have not seen you forever. There's a Republican I used to argue with. Nice to see you, Tim. Long time no see.
Hi, Tim. I don't know. I don't know if I know who Tim is.
I don't think you do. I don't think he's ever come on this live. We haven't talked for a while. But yeah, so I just it's just interesting. So Fonnie Willis was subpoenaed in that divorce case, which then now isn't happening, and Nathan Wade's going to testify. But really, it's just about the way this all came about is the money he was paid, which it's actually very low. He only is being paid $250 an hour, billable legal hours. That's pretty low. But he just never admitted in his divorce proceedings that any of that money existed.
Okay, so I had basically read the headline.
He's hiding his own money from in his divorce proceedings, and then they hear that he's contracted. She hears he's contracted by the government and all of this stuff, and he was lying because it's around. Which,
by the way, he shouldn't do that. He's in the wrong there.
Yeah, and his ex in his own divorce proceedings.
And his ex is right to get that subpoenaed. His ex has every she has every right to that money as well.
Yeah, exactly.
He's in the wrong
and
there.
That's what it's about is he never said hey, I'm working on this case. So he was paid around $500,000 or whatever, and never that is all being hidden from the forensic accounting in his divorce case. And then it's popping up, they're doing forensic accounting in that case. And what is it? There's some tickets to San Francisco, a trip to San Francisco. So now they're saying, okay, you hid $500,000. So now you need to explain to us what you've been doing with that money, which, like you're saying, is completely fair. So I was oh, then this, it didn't make a lot of sense to me, but it all makes perfect sense.
Okay, yeah, I just read the headline. I thought
he hid $500,000, and his divorce is not final.
Let's be clear. I don't care if Nathan Wade is a good person. I don't care if Fonnie Willis is a good person. I don't if they have other legal issues that need to be taken care of. That's also fine. Show me the link between why this matters to Donald Trump. It doesn't.
Oh, it doesn't at all.
Yeah, if you can show me a reason why I should be concerned about Nathan Wade and Fonnie Willis having a relationship, then fine. Let's talk about it. But nobody has shown any evidence that matters. Do they both not like Donald Trump? Yeah. Is that okay? Yep. That's the great thing about the law. Your own bias doesn't matter. That's why there's a judge and a jury. Lawyers are biased. Every lawyer is biased. They're supposed to be biased. They're supposed to be biased for their client. They're supposed to give their client the best defense they can. And a prosecutor is supposed to prosecute the best way that they can. You present your evidence in the best way that you can. So all this other shit, all this peripheral stuff, which, by the way, is fucking rich coming from people who support Donald Trump, who has done nothing but cheat on all his wives, all his business partners, all the everybody he's been engaged in politics with. He cheats with everything, and now suddenly we're upset about an affair, an alleged affair that has no bearing on this case. You're grasping at straws, maggot. That's how sad this is. At this point, you're just grasping at straws. It's almost as sad. It is almost as sad as somebody who, let's say you're just online and you catfish people, right? And you're catfishing people. And then what you do is you create fake second accounts and third and fourth, and you get blocked on like 20 accounts, but you keep showing up every day with fake accounts. And then you see like the person that you catfished, and that person's like interacting with other women. And then you start just attacking those women. By the way, just so you guys know, my catfish is in the audience here, talking shit in the comments, pretending
about
to be
me.
somebody else. Again, no, about Jen. And just so you know, catty catfish, we all see you. You're a lunatic. Go away. You're weird. You're weird. I just want there's a little gift for everybody, and everybody. Yeah, the catfish is here.
Oh, it's Wednesday, and we are here.
We can end
tap
it on
the screen. No, oh, hold on. Tap the screen. I have something else I wanted to say because I'm reading other comments. I didn't know any of this was going on. I was reading a completely benign comment about, and someone said in the comments, did you hear the news about Jon Stewart? So I looked that up. Jon Stewart is returning to The Daily Show as a host and executive producer. I know, that's great news. I had no. Are you?
There it is. There's the catfish.
Oh, I feel sick to my stomach right
There's
now.
the catfish. There's the catfish. Pretending not to be. Yeah, there it is. There's the catfish.
Okay. We are doing this.
Yeah,
I'm just sitting here talking about politics. I can't wait. That's interesting. Like, do you think he must have got a better offer? Like, if there's one thing Jon Stewart's not shy about, it's like, I do work for money. Like he said, they were like, why did you go to Apple? He's like, they paid me the most. They made me an offer I couldn't refuse.
I liked his Apple show better, to be honest. I like the Daily Show, but I loved the Apple show. I like Jon Stewart.
I did like the Apple show. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the researchers for that show, like, not to say Jon Stewart's not extremely intelligent, but they were doing some amazing research. Like, all the people working on that show were amazing.
I hope they do that with the Daily Show. I hope they bring some of that in, because that stuff was, not only was it entertaining, but it was powerful. Like, those were the types of interviews that you can show your MAGA friends. When he interviewed the guy from Arizona, what's his name?
The guy.
What's his name? The guy. Oh my God. Anyways, somebody help me out with that. Somebody help me with the name.
Hey, HVAC, what's going on?
What's up, HVAC?
You just said hello. Anyways. Yeah. So, wait, what guy from Arizona? What was like? What? He's a politician.
He was the one that the guy was like. They were talking about trans legislation. He's like, we got to protect the kids, and he's like, hey, what's the number one?
He wasn't from. I thought he was from like Oklahoma or Kansas. Yeah, no, it wasn't Arizona. I know that interview. That interview was.
I swear that was the Arizona
one of
guy.
his finest efforts ever. He was talking about, it's where he did the gotcha, and he's like, what's the number one unaliver of children? And the guy's like, I'm assuming you're gonna. Yeah, that was one of the best gotchas of all time.
Why?
Yeah, it was Oklahoma. Thank you.
Was it?
I don't want to say I have almost an identity
God
memory, but I do have a great
Arizona?
Memory. Isn't that
You're
great
right.
that you have me around to correct you?
You win. It is great to have you around, even if it makes some people mad that you're around. Even
I
if it makes
feel
some people
so awkward and want nothing to do with this situation. I am an innocent bystander and have been this entire time.
I'm sorry. You're right. I'm sorry about that.
No, it's fine. I'm glad I'm getting a chance to clear my name. And also, no, wait, as a matter of fact, as long as we're going to be doing this, and probably can't post this replay due to the sheer awkwardness of this moment, I just want to say that I had nothing to do with this situation. Jay and I are not dating, as we never have been dating ever. Jay, have we been secretly dating?
Not to my knowledge.
Tell the
Not
truth
to my knowledge.
right now.
No, Felice and I talk a lot on here, and on the weekends we don't really talk. We talk about work, and I
Have
love
we ever
Felice to
met
death.
in person?
Never, and I don't think we're that far away from each other.
So it'd be hard for us to touch each other because we've never met and live in the same place. Okay, never.
And Felice has
met.
standards. Also,
Yes, and I could smell the dysfunction wafting off of him. Like, no, I also have my own. That's my point. And I also, no, I'm not done, Jay. So because we're doing this, I have something to say. The other thing I want to say is, Jay cared about you a lot. As a matter of fact, loved you. The only thing I know about you and Jay's relationship was I watched him be heartbroken. That's all. He was depressed. The truth is, you are right about what you say. You guys, he had real feelings for you, and then he was super depressed and heartbroken after it. That's the only thing I've ever borne witness to or knew about. When I said I didn't wish you any ill will, I want the best for you. I don't want anything bad to happen to you. None of this is any of my business. I meant all of that and have stood by that the entire time. Jay had real feelings for you. Then I watched him be heartbroken. That was the only thing I know about this, ever.
And now I learned my lesson, and I'm really good at identifying who a catfish is, and you, my friend, are that catfish. I'm good now. I'm good now. And I'm happy where I'm at, and I'm happy to be working with Felice and this group. But if you come in here as a catfish, we're just going to call it out. We're going to make it as uncomfortable for you as it is for all of us. Go away. Go for the millionth time, Bree. Go away. Nobody wants you around
Could it
anywhere.
be sick?
Just leave TikTok.
Throwing
Go
up
away.
after this.
Nobody cares anymore. That's it. I've made Felice uncomfortable enough. Thank you for the kind words, Felice. That was very nice.
I'm in the queue. Tell a friend.
We will see you guys tomorrow morning and every morning, 8:30 a.m. to noon Pacific Standard Time, right here on the RTP backup account, because turns out that TikTok's not going to give me my account back, I don't think. But thank you guys. We will see you tomorrow.
Bye, guys.